We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My first guest is a cowgirl, a farmer who in Texas farms and has not quite 27,000 acres, 26,000 acres, shortly to be 27,000 acres. Rebecca Cranover. Rebecca, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Well, I led with, thank you. I'm happy to have you here. I led with the large number of acreage because I think most of my viewers will think, wow, that's a big farm. And where is your farm in Texas?
Our farm is out in the Texas Panhandle. So when you say Panhandle, if anybody remembers the song Amarillo by Morning with George Strait, it's north of Amarillo, Texas, about 1 hour. So we are almost to the state of Oklahoma up there. And all of those acres are within a couple of counties up there in the Texas Panhandle. And it's a lot of work.
And how long has your family been farming?
My grandfather was a farmer. My deep-rooted farmers. My family's kind of, you go all the way back several generations. But my farm has now grown into with my in-laws. So I actually farm with my in-laws now. And so we've kind of continued to be business partners and grow our farm each year.
And what do you grow?
We grow corn, wheat, seed milo, cotton, and canola. And in the terms of corn, there's yellow corn, there's white corn, there's different varieties of all those different seeds. So we grow quite a bit.
Alrighty. And do you grow the corn for cows to consume as food? Is that it?
Right. So the yellow corn that we grow, that actually goes to feed most of the cattle in our area. The corn that we grow doesn't really go to the grocery stores. So most of that is fed out through a lot of the feed yards. There's a lot of them in Texas. So that goes there. We do have done a lot of white corn in the past, and white corn has been used to put in corn chips, white corn chips, and different things of that nature.
You all like those? Okay.
Yes. So there's a possibility you could have eaten some of our white corn somewhere down the line.
Now, before you farmed, you have a degree in technology. Your kind of technology is what you are good at.
Right. So after I graduated from high school and went to college, I went to Texas Tech University and got
Texas Tech, where is that?
That is down in Lubbock, Texas. And I got a degree in management information systems in the College of Business. And after that, I went to work for a big company called Accenture. It was Anderson Consulting at the time, really well-known company. I traveled around the world doing technology consulting, lived in Sweden for about 4.5 months, and did some huge projects over there. But ultimately found that I wanted to be back in agriculture and move back to the Texas Panhandle.
Now, technology consultant, I'm not even quite sure what that means. What does it mean?
Well, it can mean a lot of things. There's a lot of different technology. What I did was in the oil and gas industry, and we had a lot of systems that we were putting together, a lot of networking. So like setting up server rooms and, setting up the technology infrastructure so that, all of this can work, within a business. So I did a lot of the background technology kind of setup and infrastructure.
And this, I guess, theoretically was done so it saves them enormous amounts of money and provides a lot of information which they use to explore and to distribute. Is that it?
Sure. And so, right. And one of the projects that I did was actually called ERCOT down in Austin. And it actually was put together and helped put all the infrastructure and all the technology together so that they could go through deregulation in the state of Texas for their utility market. And so it helped, putting that technology in for them they were able to sort of monitor that for the whole state.
I see.
So
that, okay. That sounds cool. Obviously that's some big doings. And on 27,000 acres, in the green room we were chatting about this. So that's considered one of the bigger size farms in your area.
Right. So that is kind of about the biggest size in our area. There's a couple other farmers that were probably pretty close in size. But yes, and so trying to grow additional acres and trying to get bigger, we'll have to go a little bit outside of our area in terms of growing those extra acres because there's only so much you can do in one little area.
Mm-hmm. And when we were chatting before we went on the air, you mentioned that you have 42 employees?
Yes, it is a lot to keep track
So that
of.
makes you kind of a good-sized employer. 42 employees, that's a good-sized business.
It is. And I would say back in 2008, we only had about 6 employees.
Aha.
So we've grown a lot from 6 employees to 42 today. And we've just really tried to structure our business for growth and structure it in the right way with the right control systems so that we can grow responsibly and have the right people in place with the right expertise so that it can, grow the right way and we can be successful with it.
Now, with all the difficult weather happening in the Midwest, etc., what's been happening near Amarillo, where your farm is? What's happening there weather-wise? Is it freezing there right now? Is it snowing? What's happening there?
It's very cold. We've had about 4 inches of snow last week in that area. The Texas Panhandle is so different up there than it is in the rest of Texas. So, when you think of Dallas, Texas, or Austin, Texas, the weather patterns are so much different. And so in the Texas Panhandle, it's kind of tied more up into closer to New Mexico, Colorado, and, a lot of the cold air comes off of those states and comes into our area. And so it's actually a very drought-stricken area. And so we get probably only 15 to 16 inches of rainfall each year. So it's very difficult to be a farmer in that area without some kind of irrigation. And we have an aquifer underneath us called the Ogallala Aquifer. And so that's what we use to water all of our crops with. And we have to pretty much use that nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all through our growing season, just so that we can produce a really good crop.
Right.
So
you have your own deep water wells, or the state of Texas provides them? How does that work?
we drill our own wells. So we actually have a water driller come out, and they have to drill about, I would say the last one I had to drill was probably about 545 feet.
Wow,
So
that's a deep well, is it not?
it's very deep.
Wow,
Yes.
wow.
So we have to go about that far just to get water. And then, of course, usage of that water, tends to drop over time. And so, it's a lot further down than it used to be.
So really, theoretically, 10, 15, 20 years ago, couldn't you drill a 60-foot well or 120-foot well?
Maybe it was still probably, I would say probably more like 300 still.
really?
I mean, it's
Okay.
just that far deep from under where we're at.
And the reason you have to drill deeper now is because the water usage is so great that the water table is dropping?
Part of it. And then, just like if you think about it, the Ogallala Aquifer, and when you have aquifers under your soil, right? They're not just level like a lake. Like when you look out and see a lake or something, underneath that at the very, you have shallow parts and you have deep parts, and that's how the Ogallala is. So there's different areas, so you could have still some land out there, and you may not have a very good pocket of water even underneath that. So you have to really do your research when you're purchasing land and farming land and about to drill for water, because you have to find pockets where it's the best, and so that you can get to that water and not have to drill as far deep. So there's a lot more science to it whenever you're thinking about you don't just drill a hole and then here comes the water. I mean, you really have to do your research on how you're really going to get that water out.
Right, because you're not just guessing. Some guy with a stick to dowsing. You're not doing that anymore. Is that it?
Right. No, I mean, used to, that's, if the sticks cross, there's water and you just dig it, and it's there. But no,
Does that work, by the way?
I've heard it has. I have not tried that myself.
And your grandparents never did that either. They don't.
My grandfather was actually a water driller, and he had a business when I was actually before I was born, and that's what he did out there in the Texas Panhandle.
So he didn't really need the sticks then. He was just.
He probably used the sticks actually. I don't know what they did back then, back in the 30s. So I mean I'm sure that was something that was still used. It's not used today.
Right.
So.
Do you have cattle on the property?
No, we do not do any animals. We pride ourselves as a high production grain farm, and so we focus on what we're good at in growing crops. When you have cattle and when you have all those animals and you put them out there on your field, it can impact your yield on your crops, and plus you have to put up all these fences everywhere, and
Right.
they can get into your sprinklers. That so it can be a real time consuming effort, and impact your crops as well, the land, the soil, composites and different things of that nature. So we just stick strictly to growing crops.
I once visited the King Ranch in Texas, which is a very large ranch. And one of the ways they became very successful is they were the first to use a new technology. They were the first to use barbed wire. That's what the booklet said anyway. I'm just repeating what the booklet said. They said, well, they thought that if they used the barbed wire, it'd be way cheaper than having all this manpower rounding stuff up all the time. And so supposedly, I'm just repeating, they claimed that barbed wire fencing, which was a new technology at the time, and they were the first to really implement it, and it was an enormous cost saver, and it was good modern management. That's interesting, isn't it?
That is very
Yeah,
interesting.
using technology, barbed wire
and it's
as
still
new
used
technology
today.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess it's still just a good technology. You have to keep stuff fenced in, and just anyway, they have a huge ranch.
It's a big ranch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they might have their own congressman or something. They're so big. It's pretty big down here.
It sure is. Well, there's a lot of space in Texas, so
That's right. That's right. And so this Texas farm girl, this is your story as a child growing up.
Yes. So when I was in junior high and high school, I worked on the farm with my grandfather, and he's the one that taught me a lot about how to farm, how to water your crops, and so I really learned a lot about hard working, about what it really takes to be a farmer. It's not just a job. It's not just something you do 8 to 5. It's a real lifestyle.
Well,
and
7 days a week, isn't it?
Yes, it's constant. And in the winter, it's snowing, right now. I mean, we're in the barn working, getting our equipment ready for the spring and those kinds of things. So it slows down. But from about March to August is a pretty intense time in that area for all farmers, and making sure you get your crop in the ground, making sure it's getting watered and growing and all of these things. And then your harvest comes in the fall time, from about September to October, November. So it's a pretty intense lifestyle, and you really have to love farming to really want to do it.
So you have a lot of big barns, is that it, on your property? Mm-hmm. And you have combines?
We do.
How many do you have, can I ask?
We have 5 combines right now.
Okay, and a
to cover that.
combine, so tell my listeners what a combine is.
Well, a combine is this huge piece of machinery, and it's used for harvest. So 2 people can sit up in the cab, and it usually is different what they call headers. So you have a different one for corn, you have a different one for wheat, and you have a different one for if you're doing canola, let's say. So there's different like attachments that you would put on the front in order to get it. And so what happens is you use your combine to go through the field of corn, and what it does is it cuts off the corn stalks, and it takes what you would see in a grocery store, but it's a lot harder in terms of what we grow, because ours is for cattle feed. And the corn actually goes through the combine, and it takes off everything off of the cob and puts the actual corn into the bin. And then you take the bin from the combine, you dump it into a grain like a grain truck, and then we can haul that off to the elevator for distribution.
And you have 5 of these.
Yes.
And now, if I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but these are some very expensive pieces of technology, are they not?
Yes, they're very, very expensive. A combine could cost in upwards of over $300,000.
$300,000 for one new combine.
Mm-hmm. Brand new. If you were going to go buy it brand new.
Okay, that's I think most of the business guys listening to the show can realize, wow, that's a lot of money and equipment.
Mm-hmm. It is, and you and I were talking previously about farming and the size of farms, and it's really difficult today with all of the economic factors and the expensive equipment it takes and the inputs that you have to put into your crop to make it, that it's hard to be a really small farmer these days. And so it's there's a lot of controversy out there about corporate farms taking over and really people trying to get big, but really economically, I mean, it's really tough if you don't have a certain number of acres to cover all those costs. It's very high risk.
A corporate farmer would they have what, 2 or 3 times as much acreage as you have? Is that it? Is that what the corporate farmer?
Probably so. I mean, I don't know what the actual acreage would be, but usually corporate-owned farms are not so much family-owned farms. They're just, more of a corporate type atmosphere, kind of using land management companies in order to run those farms.
On your farm, with 5 combines and 42 employees, there must be a lot of pressure to make sure that everything goes well. Otherwise, one bad season and you could be out, right?
Absolutely. Back in 2011, probably one of the worst, probably the worst in our history of farming as a family. We had the Texas drought. If anyone remembers, the whole state of Texas just had a really terrible drought, and it was extremely, extremely tough on us. And we had some corn that didn't make it. I mean, even though with the water that we have from the Ogallala, just all those drought conditions, it just didn't make it. And so, it's.
So what did you do in 2011? Did you just think, okay, we just cut everything down and think, okay, we out of our hands? What are you thinking?
We did everything. In our mind, we did everything. We
Right.
wanted to do everything because we didn't want to fail.
Right.
And we don't feel like, usually unless like a big tornado comes through or a big, hailstorm comes through. Those things are kind of common and you can prepare for those.
Those are pretty common in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Hailstorms.
And we have
right, tornadoes,
insurance, right, that helps a lot with that. And so, you have to take insurance out on your crop
Right.
and so it can accommodate for those things. But a drought like that, it's sort of devastating in a way. It really can. It hurt us pretty bad just in terms of how much crop we weren't able to produce. And you saw corn prices go high that year, and then the next year because of the Midwest drought. There's reasons why those went high because the farmers just couldn't produce because you need water and you need rain and you need those environmental factors to be successful.
So when the conditions are in 2011, did you just think, well, okay, we'll concentrate on something else temporarily? Really, what did you and your grandparents do? You just kind of thought, okay, we
had to keep going. We think ahead enough to where, it's not something that was going to take us out as a farmer and we wouldn't be able to forever farm again. We just had to cut back on a lot of things and continue to put money back in our business and try to rebuild. And we've been able to do that the last couple of years. But you can have one bad year and it can really impact your business for a while if you're not smart about it.
And farming is there's a lot of risk in farming, isn't there?
Yes.
Besides hard work, which is kind of a given, every day, 7 days a week, hard work. No, there's a lot of risk. If the weather's not cooperative, well, okay, that's it, right?
Right. Absolutely. So it's high risk in terms of those environmental factors. It's high risk in terms of the cost that it takes. You need a lot of capital in order to be able to run a farm. So, just the combine, that doesn't count the tractors and the semi trucks that you need to haul the grain and
Oh, right.
plus the employees you got to pay.
Right.
And so it's a lot. There's a lot of risk there.
Where can I get your book, Texas Farm Girl?
Texas Farm Girl is available on Amazon.com. You can also visit my website. It's RebeccaCrownover.com, and it's REBECCA, and Crownover is CROWNOVER.com, and that is where you can go find out all kinds of information about me and the book and my other children's book, and there's just a lot of information out there, how to connect with me for social media and Facebook and Twitter and those kinds of things.
And when did this come out?
That one came out in December of 2013, so it's not been out there very long. Yes. And it's the first in its series. So I'm working on a couple of more that will be coming out later this year.
And so these really are kind of intelligent children's books.
Yeah, it's very educational. And my goal as a children's book author is I want to not just put some entertaining farming book out there for a kid. I want to be able to entertain them, educate them, and inspire them through a life lesson through farming. And I think there's lots of them that we can all learn from that other children can learn from too. And farming is the great vehicle to do that with.
I'll bet. Yeah. I bet children probably learn to love farming. It seems, just kind of fantastic to be out there and growing stuff. Seems something that kids love that, don't they? Growing stuff, seems
absolutely.
Great.
And it's hard to get into farming, right? Talking about all the risk and those things. So everyone is so fascinated with farming and they want to learn about it. And if I can take a little bit from my farm and help educate other kids and inspire other kids, then it's a great opportunity.
And your first book is a personal story about the death of your husband in a freak accident on the farm, right?
Right. So back in 2009, I was married to a farmer. He and I farmed together, and we had a daughter together. She was 2.5 years old at the time, and he was in an ATV accident and passed away in July 10th, 2009. And at the time, I was emotionally, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this process, and how am I going to help my daughter get through this time? And so I did look for a children's book that I thought, is this, something I can just read in front of her or help her with it. And I really didn't find anything that was on her level. It's really tough at that age, that 2-year-old age, to find something that they can really grasp and relate to. And so for a couple of years, as we went through our own process of healing emotionally, this book was put on my heart to read so that it can help other children in a time of loss. And so what this is an actual story based on true facts of things that my daughter and I went through in trying to recover from the loss. And this is an award-winning book. It's won several awards. One with the USA Best Book Awards. It was an award-winning finalist out here in Los Angeles. It was also the Christian Literary Awards. It won a Henry Award and a Reader's Choice Award. So it is, and on top of that, it's touched a number of children's lives across the country. It's a great book for when you hear about other kids losing a parent, and you want to do something to try to help them, or you don't know what to do. I mean, this has been a really good book to pass along. And it's called My Daddy is in Heaven with Jesus because that was the coin phrase that was used with my daughter when she was wondering where her father was. Right. And so that was what we had said all through that time. And
so you and your grandparents thought this was a good term?
Yes. And so, that was just something that we used in terms of
seems like a good term. Yeah.
So that's why that's where the title of the book came from.
And how old is your daughter now? 5?
She's 7 now.
7 now.
Yes, she just turned 7.
She likes farming too?
Yes, she does. She loves being a part of it too. She loves to ride the combine.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a big air-conditioned combine?
Yes, with satellite radio and talk radio and FM radios. I mean, combines are pretty nice. And tractors nice these days compared to what they used to be.
And, talking about accidents on the farm, years ago there used to be a lot of farm accidents. The tractors would roll over on farmers. Didn't that happen a lot?
It has happened, yes. I mean, I think farming, I don't know where it ranks in terms of accidents per year, but it is very high up on the list for one of the dangerous place to work, just because there's so much machinery and there's so much that can happen. And so we take safety very serious at our farm. We do monthly safety training with our employees on different things, whatever it is that, electrical, because we do a lot with our sprinklers and electricity. We have a lot of electrical things, and that alone, just dealing with electricity can be very dangerous. So we definitely take that very, very serious at our farm.
Because farmers, I remember years ago, I was visiting a family who had a farm in West Virginia, and you kind of go into town or you be around a place where there are a lot of mostly men, and a lot of the men who are, say, my father's age, they've lost fingers in those days. They lost a lot of fingers. I mean, they would get caught in stuff and they'd lose fingers and stuff. And like there seemed to be a lot of it. And a friend of mine, my friend said to me, "Oh yeah, that's happens to a lot of guys.
It does.
Just one day they're not paying attention and they lose a hand or they lose a couple of fingers, and it's like, oh my God."
But it's gotten better, I think, because back in the day, I mean, we didn't really have all these safety things that we really focus on now in every business, not just in farming.
Right.
And so, and especially in farming, I think there's been a little bit more of a movement there in trying to make it a safer place to work. And things like that probably still do happen. On our farm, we've been very fortunate because of how serious we take safety that we haven't had anything like that happen. The ATVs that our employees have to use, they have to still be really careful even on those. I mean, the ATVs, as I just said, I lost my husband in one in 2009. So,
and the reason for that is because these ATVs, they're not driving in parking lot. There's bumps and stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's the earth.
Level. Right. And so you have to be very safe. You have to, we warn our employees, do not drive too fast, wear helmets and all these kinds of things. So, when you're out in the country, I mean, people just don't think about safety so much, but it doesn't matter. They think, oh, well, if you have this big company or you have this big refinery, that's where you need to worry about safety. But farming needs to be just as safe as anything else. And so we take that very seriously.
Well, the all-terrain vehicles, there's a lot of injury with those on a regular basis. A lot of 15-year-old boys
without
out
being
having
on
fun
a farm,
and they just, boom, break their neck because they rolled over. And it seems to happen a lot.
Mm-hmm. It is. And that's, it's Yeah, I agree. I mean, losing someone to an ATV accident was really tough, and it's hard for. I mean, I won't even get on one anymore.
Right.
I used to because I would drive them out at the farm myself, and the ATVs that we have at our farm, we use them for. They're more of a business tool, so they can get out to the sprinklers and do what they need to do. But I don't let my daughter drive one anymore, and I don't drive one anymore, and it's hard, especially when you've been that close to death with someone that's been on one. So,
Did you find your hubby in the field?
no, it actually was. We were out at a ranch, and it happened late at night, and there was a bunch of us there. We were all at a get together with some friends, and so we actually went down the road, and because we saw that the ATV had stopped, and when we got down there, he had had an accident, and he actually lived for about 6 days in ICU before he actually passed away.
So he hit a pothole, something?
Yeah, he was actually going down a dirt road, and it was dark. And as he went around this curve, there was a cattle guard out at this ranch. And when he went to slow down, the ATV slipped and hit that cattle guard, and it threw him off the ATV, and he ultimately died from a head injury. So.
What's a cattle guard exactly?
A cattle guard is what they put out on ranches to where cattle cannot cross over. So if a cattle comes up to instead of they have fencing, but you have to be able to drive, through. So if you don't have a fence that connects, you can put a cattle guard in between, and it just keeps cattle from crossing right there.
I see. And was your hubby conscious or something? Did he say hello to you?
Mm-hmm. He was still conscious there for a little while, and then they had to intubate him because of his injuries. And once they intubated him, he went into an intubated state, and then was put into a deep coma, and to the point that his brain injury did not recover, and his body began to fail. So I had to remove him off of life support.
So in other words, they try to reduce the swelling in the brain. Is that was the technique?
Right. So they thought that by putting him into a coma, that maybe his brain would heal faster and help. Ultimately, that did not happen, and not because of whatever circumstance of the coma. It was just that his body did not respond, and it just continued to get worse. And I think part of it is after so many days in ICU, I think sometimes I believe that in the end he just finally gave up, and his lungs began to fill up with fluid, and his body began to fail. And so once I had to make that decision of there was nothing else that the doctors could do, then I had to make that decision to let him go.
Wow.
So it was a tough time. And here it was in the middle of July, in the middle of our busiest season of the farm. So it was tough to not lose only my husband, but a business partner and a person that was a very integral part of our farm at that time.
And so just over a period of time, you were kind of jotting down notes, and you thought, I could put together a book, and it'd be good for other children and other women who've lost husbands for their children. Just kind of think this would be a good thing.
I think so. I mean, I've always wanted to write a children's book. I always wanted to write a book, and I just I hadn't really decided what would be best. And as we went through that, I worked really hard emotionally to overcome the obstacles that I faced during that time of tragedy. And putting this book out there, it was therapeutic for me. It was therapeutic for my daughter to go through that and to go through the process of publishing it. But it's been such a blessing and such an honor to be able to help other children through our own tragedy. And this is something I'll promote the rest of my life. It's been a very touching part of my life, and has helped a lot of other people, and I found a lot of purpose through it.
Have people written you and said, "Gee, your book really was good. My child read the book and was better"?
Yes, I have. For a long time, since this book has been out, I get messages through my website of kids that have read it. For example, there was this one story where this little child would not open up. He lost his dad to brain cancer, and totally unrelated situation to what happened with us, but he just didn't want to talk about it. They couldn't get him to talk about it. They couldn't get him to open up. And they ordered my book, and they gave it to this little boy and read it to him. And after that, he started to open up and talk, and he realized at that point he wasn't the only one that had lost a father. And being able to make that relation and really realizing for a child that they're not the only one that has been there, or the only one that's losing a parent, the only one in that situation. And so that is what has really keyed in children that are in that situation to know that they're not alone. And to be able to take a message of tragedy in this book and to turn it into a message of peace and hope for the future, that is what has ultimately touched a lot of people's lives through it.
Well, Rebecca Cranauer, it's been a lovely, intelligent interview. Once again, how can we get My Daddy is in Heaven with Jesus and your first book, Texas Farm Girl?
Both of them are available on Amazon.com. That's a pretty easy way to purchase books these days. And then once again, on my website, RebeccaCrownover.com.
Why don't you spell that first?
It's REBECCA. Crownover is CROWNOVER.com. So RebeccaCrownover.com. It'll have even more in-depth information about the books. I have book trailers for both of them, and you can also connect with me on Facebook and Twitter and keep up with me throughout the year. So I'm always putting different things out there that are related to the books, and that way you can keep up with the new Texas Farm Girl books that'll come out later this year.
Rebecca, thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It was fun. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
Hello world, I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as the booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles. You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
What's up? It's your girls, Forbidden Gems, inviting you to join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. sharp for the hottest, livest talk show, Forbidden Tuesdays.
Join us as we expose the new generation of love and dating, all the craziest entertainment news, and the wildest on-air interviews with the hottest artists.
So don't forget to tune in to Forbidden Tuesdays every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality radio for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is
LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
You ready?
We did it!
Finally.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network. And now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Lewis Logan, inviting you to join me every Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon for Faith on the Front Line. We don't just talk about it, we are about it. That's our motto. Don't just talk about it, be about it. We highlight the issues and challenges that we face today and how faith communities and leaders make a difference. So don't forget to tune in to Faith on the Front Line, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B and watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
And now, special guest host Yvonne Beauvais, wellness editor and correspondent, host of Here's to Your Health, and now Yvonne Beauvais.
Well, hello to our listening audience today on Here's to Your Health. I have two very exciting and interesting guests with me today. I have Ella Cochran and I have Hilton Ezra. Now, Ella is a holistic health practitioner and coach and entrepreneur. She's a homeopathic practitioner. She is co-author of the bestseller here, which is Fight for Your Dreams with Les Brown. I'd like everyone to see that. And I read your portion of the book. It was really interesting, and everything that I believe about wellness was in that chapter. So what I'd like you to do, Ella, is give us a little bit about your background to start. You have a very interesting background as to where you've studied and the countries that you studied in and the homeopathic practitioners that you have worked with. I mean, it was fascinating. So please tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Yvonne. I am very happy to be on the show. Originally I'm a Polish, and I was living in England for 25 years. And what motivated me to be a homeopath is my own health as a child was very poor. Not as when I was born, but when I actually was going to later on. So my mom says that happened probably because of the vaccination. But I was searching always for the answer, how to improve my level of health. And when I came across homeopathy, that really made sense. So after being treated homeopathically, my level of health improved so dramatically that I was straight away wanted to know more. And I graduated from the College of Homeopathy, and then even went to search for more knowledge and studied did the postgraduate studies in India, in a medical institute in England, India, in Calcutta. And that since then, I've been actually now on a mission to help other people who would love to improve their health and stay away as much as possible from the drugs and their side effects.
I found the portion in your book very interesting because as a practitioner, you had a very busy life and you had patients and stress, and then boom, you had breast cancer. And you instinctively seem to know what to do. Will you tell our listening audience today the choices that you made and the outcome that happened for you.
Yes, I just proven to myself that it's not necessarily only what you eat that may cause cancer in your body, but the level of stress that you're exposed to, your emotions, can really be very strong contributing factor to your ill health. And when that happens, you have to actually do something that you have not been doing. And for me, that meant to leave my practice, everything behind, and go and find a place that I can allow my body to return to health again.
And you went to Hawaii.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what you did for 6 months.
Well, for 6 months, I stay away from all my stress. That was the biggest prescription for me. And obviously, I was drinking good water, breathing the fresh air and sunshine, and being on my homeopathic remedies, plus taking a very good supplements as well, because the body is depleted. Once you start being sick, obviously, we deplete it on that level very much as well.
Well, there's a law of health. The body wants to heal itself. The body's natural predisposition is to balance itself. And that's what homeopathy does. Would you tell us how homeopathic remedies work? Everyone thinks it's just a bunch of botanicals that they put together, and sometimes they go, they don't give it a whole lot of credence. But I've worked with homeopathic solutions in the past, and I'm a firm follower and believer in them, because it's not just botanicals. Will you give us a more scientific insight into how these homeopathic solutions work in the human body?
Well, you're right. A lot of people confuse homeopathy with herbs and plants. And although the remedies are derived from those living substances, they not only from plants. And we don't actually, the homeopathic remedy is an energy derived from those substances. That's easy. I think I can probably explain that. So we're not dealing with the molecules. It's not equivalent to a drug that, that we have, but to energy. And we know how energy, if everything is energy and everything influences us, and we have energy in our body, because if we're not, we feel straight away that something is not right. So homeopathy is a holistic medicine.
It's a law of similars.
Yes, it's a law. It's based on very sound principles, and one of the principles is the law of similars, which says that the substance that has the power to create some illness then has that power to correct that illness as well. So this is the main principle that the homeopathy operates, but there are others as well. So it's a very sound system of healing, and it's also very holistic, because it takes your emotional, mental, and physical symptoms into consideration when you're choosing the remedy, and that's very important.
So you're not just treating symptoms; you're actually treating the whole person.
Actually, I don't treat symptoms at all. We just treat the person who has this symptom. So that's a very strong differentiation between what the allopathic medicine does and what actually homeopathic remedy is trying to establish, that balance in the energy level.
That's what I was going to say. You bring the whole person back into balance. So I know that illness is a transgression against the laws of health. So if immune systems can be compromised or they can become deficient, then immune systems can become sufficient. Correct?
That's very well said.
Because it's our natural defense. It's our military inside of our body, and the immune system is always busy fighting pathogens of all sorts, from molds to funguses to bacteria to viruses, which leads me into what Hilton is doing right now. So, Hilton, I'm going to talk about you. This man's a humanitarian, and he has a real heart for human suffering. He used to be a resident of Johannesburg, South Africa, and he's been in the United States now 4.5 years. His family has been here for 20 years. And when he was in South Africa, he saw a lot of human suffering. You saw a lot of tragedies, and a lot of it was from the human immune deficiency syndrome that you saw people really very painfully and the things you described to me just broke my heart. And you felt compelled to do something. Could you tell us about that journey that you took from being an interior designer to the world of being a humanitarian?
Well, I have a friend who is a lawyer, and one of his clients has industry, a business producing homeopathic products, one of which is specifically produced, well, for AIDS and for your general good health. And through speaking to him, he introduced me because I wanted to do something to alleviate the situation, see if I could help some way. And through several telephonic meetings, once I got here, we set up a business association to get this going. And now we have this wonderful product, and I'm trying to.
And the name of this product is
Celidus Immune Boost.
Okay.
It's a CELE, Celidus Immune Boost, and the results have been quite amazing. Quite amazing. The results have always been positive.
So, Celidus Immune Boost, then, will this work for anyone who has a compromised immune system? Because there's many factors, as Ella was just telling us, that can compromise the immune system. It can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be trauma, it can be shock, it can be a lot of things that can bring, and it can be a viral load inside the body that can attack the immune system. So is it predominantly used for people with AIDS, or can it work for other people that have compromised immune systems?
Well, it can work for anyone with a compromised immune system. It's not only for AIDS. The results, as I say, are amazing with AIDS, but anyone who has a compromised immune system, for your general good health, this will be excellent.
So I know with AIDS that it's a virus that attacks the immune system, to my understanding. And there's no cure for AIDS, to my understanding.
No, there's no cure.
So how will this work? This I know there's many maladies that a person will experience as their immune system is reduced and compromised. And I believe that if we can have a deficient immune system, we can have a sufficient immune system.
Well, it builds up your what is called your CD4, which is the human immune system. And
this white blood cells that it builds
white
up?
blood cells, T cells, and it builds it up to a level where once again your body has a defense against viruses and whatever is invading the body.
So the body's military is back in action then.
Back in action. And in fact, your viral load comes down dramatically. Mm-hmm. It comes down, and in some cases, after a year's treatment, there is no sign of the virus.
I read reports in your brochure, people that were getting out of bed in 3 to 5 days, not that they were 100%, but they were getting up and taking a shower and getting back to life again and cooking for themselves.
Yeah, the results are very quick. Anything from 3 to 5 days, people who are bedridden are getting out of bed and starting to move around, starting to get their health back. And usually within 30 days, they're back to a normal sort of a life, and they can resume whatever they were doing prior to that time.
So when someone is really sick, Ella and I were talking that when you become sick, you said that becomes a priority now to regain your health. Even your visions and your dreams are put to rest. Can you tell us a little bit about that dynamic? What happens to someone when they become ill like that, and how the recovery process becomes the focus?
Yes, that's very important, because when you actually not ill, you have some dreams and some goals that you want to accomplish in your life. Hopefully, yes.
Yes, hopefully, yes.
Yes, everybody should.
A sense of purpose is important.
Exactly. But that really shifts to a different level when your health is affected and very seriously affected. Then you rethink the whole process and you say, this is my dream now to get better. Mm-hmm. So because we know if we're not in a good health, we cannot accomplish those other dreams. So that dream becomes our priority, and you have to do something that you have not been doing so far to change the results. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's saying that if you do what you do, and you will get the same results. So I needed to break and go to Hawaii, and everybody has to look at their lives and see where am I not in balance and what actually contributes to my illness. Mm-hmm. So that's very important. So the same with people who have very much compromised immune system. We said we cannot cure AIDS, but it is a very compromised immune system, and homeopathy can actually improve quality of life of those people.
change for wellness actually happens in the energy field first. Then I want to get back to Hilton in a moment. But can you talk to us a little bit about that, Ella? Because it's you can change your mind, you can change your life, and changing your thoughts and become positive. It literally can change your energy field. By changing your diet, that changes your energy field. By having a purpose and direction in life, that can change your energy field. So I know that wellness starts in the invisible realm before it ever is seen in the visible realm.
That's true. I mean, everybody probably experienced that in their life when you don't feel too good and there's nothing physically yet wrong with you. You just feel that energy depleted in some ways, and you seek help and you do tests and the tests don't show anything, and you pronounce to be healthy at that point. But this continues and it goes on, and until maybe one day the test will show something, and then the doctor tells, okay, something is not right here. But that period of not seeing anything on a physical level, but we do experience that on energy level. So that's where homeopathic remedy comes, because we do not treat the physical with the physical remedy.
Yes.
We treat that with the
Energy.
energy with energy. And
That's
the
fascinating.
difference, yes.
So Hilton, we're talking about, let's say, I had a household, or maybe mother and father, and they become compromised with AIDS. Women, we've seen that in Africa. I just came back from Peru. I was there 2.5 weeks, and I know that the situation with AIDS is similar as it is here in the United States. What are some of the statistics? And then we'll get back into some of this energy that we were talking about. But what are the statistics right now? We have Africa, North America, South America, Europe, of the amount of people that are suffering with this at this time in history.
Well, in Africa, there's 25.5 million people.
Oh, my goodness.
Suffering with HIV and AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
America is about 1.6 million, and South America about the same. But active AIDS here is about 600,000, more or less. It's hard to be accurate. There's no census taken, accurate census. So it's probably more.
Is it similar for Europe?
Well, Europe also has a high incidence of AIDS, but I'm not familiar with all the statistics there. I know China's got about 1 million or more people with AIDS, and so has Thailand, got 600,000. But the great majority of people with AIDS is in Africa, where 15 million people have died already of AIDS. I mean, that's the whole population of New York and then London.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
And the hard part is that when someone is diagnosed, they feel a stigma, which is sad, because rather than reaching out to people who need help, whose immune systems are compromised, they're afraid to be rejected or afraid for people to know. So with something like a homeopathic solution, they could quietly come to a homeopathic practitioner such as Ella and quietly receive some help and
yes,
come into a
one of the
recovered
major
state.
things is this clears up quite a lot of opportunistic situations, diseases, conditions, and there are no side effects, as I've said previously. They can be very debilitating, those side effects, and the recovery period is very quick. So generally speaking, it's really good to use something like this.
Well, I know with the antiretrovirals, the ARVs, that the host of side effects that they advertise, as with most things that I see advertised, scare me.
Yeah, they should scare
Oh,
you.
my goodness.
Yeah, they're there on the internet for everybody to see.
And I don't say anything against it. It's not my business. But I do listen to how they're advertised. And yet you're telling me now with a homeopathic solution that there are no side effects.
No. You have mild rashes in some very isolated cases. That's about all you have. That's all. It's been in use for 9 to 10 years in South Africa. So I know exactly what the situation is. It's a rare instance that most homeopathic applications don't produce side effects.
And Ella, I could tell she's just chomping at the bit to say something, so just say it.
Yeah,
I want to hear from you.
We don't have side effects. What people might sometimes see with the homeopathic remedies is the vital force getting stronger and trying to eliminate some things that should not be there, lots of toxins we
Yes.
carry in our body. So we're having a healing crisis. That's what we would call it, but not necessary. This is the side effects.
Yes.
Side effects is something that will stay and will continue because you're going to use the same substance. But the healing crisis is something different, something that might be unpleasant sometimes if you're very toxic, but that means that the body will eventually, and it's getting less and less, those symptoms, maybe headaches, maybe rash, maybe something that the body tries to eliminate.
I've been through a healing crisis, and it's not the solution that will cause it. It's the toxins in the body. I actually had severe mercury poisoning, and I went through a detox, and I was in bed for 3 days, and I was in severe pain and headache, and it wasn't because of what I took, it was because of the toxins being released. I finally started working with zeolites, which helped to pull them out of my blood so that the toxins weren't dumped in my blood and relocated in other places in my body. So I did learn everything the hard way, but I have learned, and I have since written about it in the wellness community about how to detox yourself. And that's a good thing, because the toxins are the obstacles that need to be removed for healing to take place. So we have to remove the obstacles, whether they be viruses, whether they be heavy metals, whether they be chemicals, even cortisols from stress. All those things are obstacles to healing, so they have to be removed from the body. And what you're telling me, it sounds like that this particular solution, if you're getting a rash or things like that, is probably a symptom of some form of detox.
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't happen often. It's quite rare. This has been given to so many thousands of people.
I do know that with a depressed immune system, that Candida can proliferate and take over. Candida we need, because when the human body dies, it's the Candida that actually digests the body down, which is necessary. But when the body's compromised with all kinds of toxins, Candida can take over. So I know that when you attack Candida, it wants to keep the acidosis alive and well in your body so it can survive. And I've learned what is good for you isn't good for the pathogens. What's good for the pathogens are bad for you. So when we have using the solution, obviously is going to help to reverse an acidosis condition, which is an acidic condition, which is where molds, fungus, yeast, bacterias, and viruses can absolutely proliferate and thrive. And I know that when I was sick with mercury, my Candida levels rose because the mercury was hiding out in the Candida, and it actually saved my life. But once I started to attack the problem and the Candida died, I went through detox that I don't even want to tell you. It was very painful, but when I got over the healing crisis and I was in the recovery stage, my health just came back very quickly. And I'm sure with AIDS, Candida has to be a problem. And once you start taking something that will cause the immune system to fight back, there are probably some detox symptoms. Can you tell us a little bit? We talked about rashes, because I think these are important for people to be realistic about recovery.
With AIDS, once your immune system is down or practically gone, you're susceptible to everything.
To everything.
Organ failure, lesions, all sorts of diseases, pulmonary infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, whatever, because you have no more defense in your body. That's what keeps us all alive, is your immune system. Once it's not there anymore, depleted to such an extent that it's virtually gone, well, anything can happen.
So can we be realistic to say that with any kind of treatment, whether it's with homeopathy or any other kind of substance that could possibly detox but is going to bring balance back to the body, that we can expect a healing crisis? Is that...
That would depend also, because when we talk that when you're taking homeopathic medication, remedy, you go through healing crisis. That's not necessarily the case for everybody.
Okay.
And it also depends on what remedy they will receive, because some remedy can stimulate it too fast, and generally we striving in the homeopathic medication is very gentle, so we not actually want to accomplish something in a very short period of time and make people suffer in that crisis. So if you giving a right dosage and right remedy, then obviously we minimizing that, and some people go through that crisis with not noticing even it. So it doesn't mean that you always have to have that healing crisis.
So using homeopathic medication is a process. It's not you take a pill and you're well the next day, but it actually is a process because the body is actually restoring itself.
Yes.
Yes, but the body is a very intelligent.
It's
not stupid and knows what to do. But what we basically helping the body is to give the right resources to do that. So the same homeopathic remedy will do that, and the same nutrition. We need also nutrition. We need to go back and clear our mind as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about the products that you've brought here today? Here's the Celidus right here, the immune boost that we're talking about. And you brought some supplements here?
Yes, I brought actually 2 supplements. One is a very important. This in the big can you have the very synergetically chosen nutrition, which has the other component which is called Lunacin, which is a very interesting product because we talk about that, how we can influence the expression of genes these days. So that's the new generation product that can actually change the expression of your genes, which modulates then different processes in the body. So we know now through science that food that we put in our body, because that's exactly what it is, it's derived from the seeds, it actually can change the expression of our genes, and that science can prove these days. So
well, I know there's people that are listening today that are going to want to get a hold of you. So Ella, will you tell people today how they can reach you? And then Hilton, I would like for you to tell us how they can reach you.
Okay, you can reach me visiting my website, OCProactiveHealth.com, or you can actually email me on info@OCProactiveHealth.
That's OC.
OC, like O for Orange, C for County.
OCProactiveHealth.com.
Yes.
And your phone number?
And the phone number is 714-315-3190.
She has an amazing practice. And Hilton, I know there's people that will want to get a hold of you also. And how will they reach you?
Well, I think the best way is through email, which is the same name as the product, Celidus Immune Boost.
Will you spell that for them?
It's CELEDUS, Celidus Immune, IMMUNE, Boost, BOOST, at yahoo.com. And my phone number is 310-739-0447.
I know that Hilton works with philanthropists because people that are compromised in their health need help. And we realize that everything needs to be funded in this world. So he does work hand in hand with philanthropists who help him to get this into communities where people are compromised and unable to earn a living anymore and have families, many of them, that they need to care for and to provide for. So I know that all of this is actually good for the economy because it gets people out of sick beds. It puts them back to work. It puts them back into being taxpayers. And most of all, they are, again, a support for their families. So is there any last thing that either of you would like to say today?
Well, I think I have explained basically what this has done. It would be nice to get to those people, as you've said, that can't afford this, that really need it, because there are a lot of people who are dying in this country.
Yes. Okay, so that's Celidus Immune Boost, and that's Hilton Ezra, and we have Ella Cochran, who is a holistic homeopathic practitioner. And I thank you both for being here today. It's an exciting topic as people are really delving into the world of wellness to become well again and to live full, meaningful, and productive lives. So I want to thank our audience for being with our special guests today, Ella Cochran and Hilton Ezra. My name is Yvonne Beauvais. This is LA Talk Live. Here's to your health. And it's been a pleasure. And if anyone would like to reach me, I can be found at Yvonne, YVONNE, Beauvais, B as in boy, O, V as in Victor, EE, 99 at gmail.com. Thank you, Ella, and thank you, Hilton, for an amazing time together talking about homeopathic remedies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. It's a pleasure.
It was really a pleasure. Thank you. It was very exciting.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was.
Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. and I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starla Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello world, how you living? This is D. Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com, or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the rap project, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D. Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is Dr. Shora Ashardi. Dr. Ashardi is a series regular on the LA Talk Live network. She is a PhD in pharmacy and has her PhD also in endocrinology from the medical school at the University of Newcastle in England. And Dr. Ashardi also is board certified with the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and 3 other board certifications in clinical laboratory in the United States. Dr. Ashardi, it's a pleasure having you back on Here's to Your Health.
Hi, Josh. Pleasure to be here. It is really nice to talk to you. I miss your shows, actually.
Thank you.
When I'm not around to talk, I think a lot about the subjects that you bring up and you share with the audience. Very interesting.
Well, I like having you on because you bring a certain intellectual heft to my show, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have you have dual PhDs, which is rather impressive accomplishment. And as I mentioned every time you're on, this is my subject, wellness, and I read your formulations, and the formulations always seem very current and very scientific and very carefully thought out. So on my part, I'm happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It is important for all of us as we age to know about what is happening in our body, because it is very possible that we could stop aging, especially now with the 21st century medicine, the knowledge that we have. We can't stop it yet, but we can postpone the signs and symptoms of aging. We can reverse some of them, as we can see, with caring about our skin, with taking care of the joint, and a lot of the knowledge that works on oxidation and on our diet. What are we eating and how we are exercising, and the amount of exercise and the effect of exercise. Why does exercise work in our body? Why is it good for us? And these are very, very simple questions with very simple answers if we think about them seriously and if we consider the knowledge that is behind all this. I mentioned that I'm going to talk about telomeres today.
Yes. And what are telomeres?
We have chromosomes.
Right.
We have 23 chromosomes that we get from each parent, so a total of 46. And when you put them together in the body, they form an X shape. So there are 4 endings to that X. And there are clips at the end of each chromosome that is like the end of the shoelace. If that little metal piece that is at the end of shoelace, if we lose that, the shoelace is going to come undone. The DNA is the same format. The DNA is like a rope, and there's an ending at the end of the chromosomes, and it's called telomere. It means exactly the end clip, and it's holding the DNA correctly. When the cells divide, the end cap gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And it is believed that the longest a human can live is 120 years because there are 50 times or around 54 times that telomeres can divide. And if they get short, they cannot divide anymore and we cannot live any longer. So with this knowledge, we want to see how can we keep our telomeres longer.
Right.
And prevent the shortening of telomeres. Extreme exercise, vigorous exercise is very important. It keeps the body healthy. And why is that? What does exercise do to keep the body healthy? It increases circulation.
Right.
And a good circulation increases oxygen in the blood. So when we think about, okay, we can exercise, but most of us cannot. First, that as we age, it gets more difficult to exercise. And if we do a lot of exercise, we are damaging other parts of our body. We would damage the joints.
You mean if we run?
If we do treadmill, for example,
Right.
It's not good for the knee. I'm not against exercise. I'm just saying that at a certain age, we cannot exercise as much as a younger person can exercise. But we can improve our circulation and increase the oxygen content. And we've done that at the Anti-Aging Institute for the past 14 years. Our clients have been taking CoQ10. Coenzyme Q10 is an antioxidant.
Right.
It increases oxygenation, increases your energy, and it improves telomere length. So
Yes.
that's simple.
CoQ10. Okay, so that's a nutrient that many of us now are familiar with.
Yes.
What have you added? What formulation are you most proud of? Because after all, because you work with clients who are 40, 50, 60, 70, 90. So let's say working for the older client, and you did mention 120 is kind of the maximum lifespan. So if
It is now. It may change. They're working.
we
Scientists
could push that a little further ahead.
are working on 400, but not possible yet. So,
400,
but over
really? That almost
yeah,
sounds like a joke, actually.
It is, but over 100 is very possible.
Right.
The
Oh,
number
yes,
of people living actually in United
Right.
States to be over 100 and getting closer to 110 is increasing
Yes.
every year.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. Let's talk about one of your important formulations for women. The Don't Pause formulation. Because
Yes.
obviously, when women hit, they could be 35, they could be 45, they could be 50, they could be 55. They suddenly have these menopausal symptoms of sweating and hot flushing and weight gain and hair loss or hair thinning, lack of energy, and it catches the women completely by surprise, and the women find it very demoralizing.
Very true. Yes. We have menopause for women and we have andropause for men. And that is a subject that has not been discussed that much. And menopause was not discussed till about lately, that women started
Sure.
talking about the
That's right.
symptoms because it was not tolerable any longer. You
Right.
couldn't hide it anymore. And the fact that we do not want to get old is very, very important and very critical in addressing all the problems, because before we were hiding them, before we were not talking about them.
Right.
Now we talk about them and we're looking for solutions. And being a woman and experiencing the symptoms and knowing the biochemistry, both the endocrinology and the pharmacology of what is going in the body, what is happening inside the body that is causing all the symptoms. I wrote the book about the 45 symptoms of menopause. And interestingly enough, I was giving a conference in Beijing, and the Chinese women were asking me questions, whereas I was shocked because I thought they had figured this out many years before we had. But again, the same changes for men. Men go through andropause, the amount of testosterone decreases, their body mass, the muscle mass decreases, and men become depressed, men become quiet, men become sexually less active, but they don't talk about it. And they say, okay, it's part of going through aging and we don't want to talk about it or we don't want to address it. The 3 products that you have in front of you are specific to my institute. They're specific to Anti-Aging Institute. Don't pause for women. Don't pause your life. Don't pause for menopause. Just get on with it and continue. Be young, be energetic, be sexually active. Do whatever you want to do and forget about how old you are. Right. Function for men, just like it says, it is for men. And green coffee is for weight loss. And it has L-tyrosine added because our thyroid gland is the gland that controls the metabolism. So these 3 products for men and women, green coffee for both, function for men, and don't pause for women, would balance the body after the age of 40. Right. They will get your metabolism going. They would get your endocrine system going. They are 100% natural, meaning that there is nothing there that is chemical. It is just like a good, healthy salad with pomegranate extract, with green tea in it, with L-arginine, which is the extract of watermelon for men, and it increases testosterone. Green coffee.
Arginine does?
Arginine does, yes. L-citrulline and L-arginine are changed to testosterone in the body, and they increase the muscle mass. So as men age, we see that they gain more fat and they lose the muscle. They lose testosterone, and the testosterone turns into estrogen. That is why when men are younger, they are macho, they are very, very manly, and as they age, they develop this belly, a beer belly they call it, or whatever kind of fat they accumulate, and that fat stores estrogen. So they become softer and softer and more feminine and more maybe sensual, more than being just macho testosterone type.
Well, some of that might be good, but you're saying that a lot of that is just
It's not good if they
nutritional.
accumulate
Right.
estrogen.
That's right. They don't want
It's
to accumulate
not
that.
good.
So they shouldn't be accumulating these beer bellies and eating all that sugar, making themselves nice and sick.
Yes.
And for the men who to use their product, what's the name of it again?
Function. Function for men increases circulation. It increases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas. It's a laughter gas. It's a funny gas. It makes you happy. So if you have mood swings, if you're not happy, if you feel depressed, the nitric oxide makes you happy. It works exactly like Viagra, on the same exact biochemistry as Viagra and Cialis, with the difference that it's only watermelon extract, it's only L-arginine and L-citrulline, 100% natural, no chemicals, and no worries because it does not increase the gas immediately. It does not have an immediate response. It works on a daily basis, and it increases circulation, increases oxygenation, improves the telomere length. Both don't pause and function for men have selenium, and selenium has been proven, and FDA allows me to sit here and say selenium is anti-cancer,
Right.
because it fights the cancer cells and it improves the telomere length, and it has been scientifically proven. The only problem is that we need to take a selenium that is not toxic and it's absorbed in the body. And both function and don't pause have SelenoXL, which is an organic form of selenium, and it works perfect.
Is that form of selenium you're using, is that a yeast-based or a yeast-free selenium?
It is. It is a yeast converted.
It's a yeast-based selenium.
Yes.
Because the scientific studies supporting the claims of selenium for anti-cancer were done on yeast-based selenium.
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
Richard Passwater is very well known for his work on that. And Richard Passwater, he wrote the book Super Nutrition for a Healthy Heart and Super Nutrition in the 1970s. Those were New York Times bestsellers. He has patents on using selenium
Yes.
in the United States to treat cancer. The FDA fought him for years, but I think 4 or 5 years ago he finally won. I think he fought with them for 30 years on that one.
It is still a little bit controversial, but it's not to treat.
Right. Okay, right.
We cannot say that we treat cancer. Nobody can say or claim that yet. But it helps to prevent, and it helps to promote the health. So people who are taking, for example, the Brazil nuts have a high content of selenium, and the selenium is very similar to the fermented selenium. So Brazil nuts are very good for you, but they are very fatty. You know, you can't sit and eat Brazil nuts all your life. But
It's a lot of Brazil nuts, right?
exactly, but the soil that the Brazil nut grows in that soil should have selenium so that the Brazil nut can maintain the selenium. So it's different from one piece of land to another, one nut from another nut, because it all depends on where they are grown. But once we know what is good for us, we can take it in the form that we can trust. And we have put the best possible ingredients in our products, and for years. I mean, this is not something that I can just say for once. This is the mission of the Anti-Aging Institute of California, to provide vitamins and supplements that people can trust, and they know for sure what they're getting is exactly what they want to put in their body.
No, your formulations are excellent. Now, on the function for men, so a man over the age of 40 takes one a day.
Yes.
And in general, they'll see results, certainly within the month, and maybe in as little as 1 week. The men think, oh, my circulation's better, their hands and feet are warmer, and maybe their memory works better, and sexuality is better, because it's all based on peripheral circulation.
Exactly. It is.
Yeah. So it's not chemistry. It's chemistry, but it's not drug-like. And the reason it works so well is it's a nutritional problem ultimately.
I was at a party about 10 days ago, and one of the gentlemen there came and said, I want to talk to you. And I was sort of shocked, in the middle of the party. And he said that I had some problems at work and I was really depressed. This gentleman could be around 52, 53. I don't know his exact age. Very good looking, handsome, tall, very nicely put together. And he was saying, I did not want to wake up in the mornings. I just wanted to stay in bed, and it was not about a sexual life. It was just like I have had it. I was tired, and I started taking function, and I wake up so happy. I wake up with such a drive in the morning that I want to shower, get ready, go to work, and conquer the world. And I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to say this. And if I would say it in front of people, they would think that, I'm talking about the sexual part of this. And it's not. I feel great, and I wanted you to know that it has helped me a lot. And it feels great, It's such a good feeling to hear the feedback.
People are surprised who have no experience with food as a healing tool. They're so surprised that nutrients, that nutrition is such a prime factor in our good health. And then when they try an intelligent product and they get results sometimes in 1, 2, 3 days, 5 days a week, whatever, they just think, whoa, we had no idea. We had no idea this stuff actually worked.
I was at the office one Monday evening, maybe around 8 o'clock. Everybody was gone, and I was really tired, and the phone rang. And I thought, okay, I can't let the phone ring. So I responded, and this lady said, oh, I'm so glad you're there. I weighed myself, and I've lost 42 pounds today. And I wanted to call you and tell you that I lost 42 pounds. And I thought, oh, so good I stayed late, because nothing, Josh, and you know that, can give you more energy 8 o'clock at night on a Monday when you've worked from 8 a.m. and you just want to get out of the office, and a phone call, a client would call and say, oh, I'm so glad you're there. I lost 42 pounds.
When people are happy with your ideas, you kind of suddenly realize, oh, I wasn't so tired after all. That's right. No, I think it's amazing the power of emotion there.
Very
nice
much
to get a
so.
little praise for your ideas. And so you, as a girl, were into nutrition, your family was into nutrition, and it just you kind of just went in this direction? Or how did you get these PhDs and then just end up?
Yeah, not at all. Nothing in nutrition. No, my grandfather was a doctor, MD, ophthalmologist, and my uncles were all MDs, but all men, and none of the women. I was the first female doctor in the family, and I was overweight during my teenage years. I was born overweight. It wasn't something that I ate too much. Some people are genetically very skinny, tall, and some people are not. They are born with, the genes that would absorb food. And even though I was eating healthy, I was not that much concerned about what was happening. And I studied in England, and I came to United States, and I was a single mother, and I was busy working, and I lost extra weight. But it wasn't really anything that I would think about on a daily basis. And then later, suddenly I realized, oh my God, I'm getting old. And all my life I was working, I was studying, I got a degree in pharmacology, went to medical school, got my PhD in endocrinology, came to United States. I was first generation immigrant. I was a single mother. I started my own company, and Josh, time flew. And I looked in the mirror and I said, oh my God, I'm getting old. And what happened? I was doing things. I was so busy. And then I said, okay, fine. I don't want to get old. Now what do I do not to get old and moldy? I have a lot of respect for older people. But we know the diseases of aging. We know what happens to us that we age. So why can't we prevent it? And with all the knowledge that I had accumulated, not worrying about aging, I thought, okay, fine. Now we want to fight aging. Now we want to prevent aging. Now we want to postpone it. Why don't I age after I'm 100 years old? I don't want to be wrinkled when I'm 40 or 50 or 60. So then I put everything together and it worked. And I'm old, but I look good.
And when you put these formulations together, obviously you read various textbooks, and you put, because I really like your formulations. They just seem very
that means a lot,
contemporary, just nicely done.
You are very knowledgeable, and every time you say something,
subject.
I just get blown away.
Thank you.
With your knowledge.
Yes, this is my favorite subject, so I focus on this. Other things I know zip about, but this I do focus on. Was there any response from family members when you started doing these? Did the family, because actually, luckily, times have changed. So it's not like it was in 1970 when if you exercise, people thought, why is that guy exercising? If you didn't drink Coca-Cola, I thought, why don't you drink Coca-Cola? Everyone now, not everyone, but most everyone has some sense of wellness. People are interested in a little more exercise than they were. People smoke less cigarettes than they once did. People take a few supplements. There's a movement, and people are interested in a cleaner environment. So luckily, the world is better now for us than it was 35 or so years ago. So it's better now. Have you had any influence at all on your family?
It started with that. I was working on a project with coenzyme Q10, and
kind of project?
we were checking to see why young people get sick and why some older people do not get sick.
Was this a university study?
It was the Stanford University and a very small group, but we were measuring coenzyme Q10 in the blood. And the healthy younger group had a high concentration of CoQ10, whereas the unhealthy young group had very low concentration of CoQ10. Same with the older group. The older people who were healthier had a higher concentration of CoQ10. The older people who were very sick at the age of maybe 40, 50, and 60 and were really, really sick, they did not have any CoQ10 in their blood. And I looked for CoQ10 and I found the Japanese company that was making pure CoQ10, and I bought it and I started taking it. And I gave it to my mom and I gave it to my sister. And then everybody said, "What is this? What are you doing?" And I said, "This is anti-aging. This keeps you young." And just to give it out, I put anti-aging on the bottle. I didn't put coenzyme Q10 because nobody would know. They would laugh at me. So I put anti-aging, just handwriting, and gave it out. And everybody said, "I want this, I want this." And it was becoming so expensive that I printed a label and I started selling them. I said, "Okay, this is the price I'm buying this. I will give it to you at the same price, but pay for it because, I can't just buy things and give it away." So, and I printed the label anti-aging and I put CoQ10, and that is how the company started.
Well, Dr. Echardi, do me a favor. Give us your contact information for your group.
The website is Before You Age. Letter B, number 4, letter U, AGE.com. Before You Age is for people who are 100 years old today as well. It's not just for the younger people. If you're listening to the program and you want to become younger today, go to the website and there's a list of why we age. And we can check that and we can start preventing, postponing, and reversing the signs and symptoms of aging.
Well, Dr. Shora Shardy, it's a pleasure to have you on my show, Here's to Your Health.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you very much.
It's been fun. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as a booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles. You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
Hi, this is Deborah Darris.
And Jules Hurst,
inviting you to join us
every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific
as we share practical tools
to create a life you love from the inside out.
So remember to tune into
Inside Out, How to Create a Life You Love
on Mondays
at 1 p.m. Pacific,
exclusively on
LATalkLive.com.
You can also catch us on
iTunes Radio, R&B,
Radio Flag,
TuneIn Radio,
Live 365,
AHA Radio,
TiVo Radio,
and Apple TV Radio.
or just watch and listen directly
at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted
for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk Live. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances, we're just live. Chef Momo, Life MC, Diana, and once again your host Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock Factor. The Shock Factor. Join us on The Shock Factor.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guests, Jeff and Cindy Ullman, are relationship teachers. Tuology is their what they do. Welcome to Here's to Your Health, Cindy. Jeff, thank you. Happy to have you.
Consider ourselves happiness scientists.
Oh, yeah, that's very good. That's a very good thing.
Practitioners.
And excuse me, so Jeff, you were involved with showbiz too, were you not?
Yes. Cindy and I helped create a number of TV shows for singles. Love Connection.
Love Connection.
There
was a big American hit.
Yeah,
Love
and some
Connection.
things on MTV too.
Oh my goodness, Love
It
Connection.
all sprang from Great Expectations video dating, which I began before.
Great
Cindy.
Expectations yours as well.
Video dating was the largest.
But that was a big hit, wasn't it?
Oh, huge! It was the largest dating service in the world, like Match.com, eHarmony, and more, all rolled into one.
What year was that?
Began in 76, leap year day, of course, February 29th, and I got out in 95, just as Match.com was starting. Coincidentally, we stayed for a couple years. Cindy was involved with training our 1,500 employees around the country. We had 50 membership centers, including in Mexico. And we did something. We helped singles meet, date, and fall in love, but we didn't follow them after they coupled up. That wasn't our business. Now, I'm not saying they had a high divorce rate. In fact, we tracked them for a number of years. They had a low divorce rate, but we still felt bad, like there was slaughter at the altar. In other words, what do you do after you say I do? Mm-hmm. Now, for those couples, they were married, medal on their finger, but there were tens of thousands of other couples who were just happily committed and, cohabitating. Right. So we created Tuology.com like TWO, in the 21st century to help all the couples of all kinds, straight, gay, young, old, married, engaged, whatever, stay happily together. And Cindy does all the content.
And we realize that, everybody wants to meet the right person, mm-hmm. but it's more a matter of being the right person in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important part. And that's what Tuology is all about, helping couples reconnect, reinvigorate, rejuvenate, and fall in love all over again. Reignite that passion. It can be done.
See, we don't believe in good advice, no matter who the PhDs are. And we have over 100 PhDs, MDs, MFT, all the right licenses on the site. We have more videos there than any other website around in terms of expert relationship content. But it's not about what you know, because everybody who's in a relationship knows what to do. They know what not to do. But then they slowly, death by a thousand cuts, they forget. So we're all about being an action site. So the Romantopedia, which are romantic how-tos, don't say, let me tell you about, let me define philosophy. No, it's all about action steps. What can you do, particularly a guide? The site Toology was really designed more for men. Because one of the things we didn't like hearing was, my guy doesn't have a clue. My husband, my boyfriend doesn't have a clue. Because we don't read, relationship books. We don't talk in the locker room, except giggling in our way about sex. We don't watch talk shows about self-help, not near them. Fishing, shooting, politics, stamp collecting, wine collecting, you bet. Cigar smoking, you bet. But not about love and relationships.
Really, because I've never found women to have any particular advantage over men on that. They're not more compassionate. They're not kinder. I never felt it was a gender issue at all. It was just kind of a personality. Some personalities have more interest in this than other personalities. So my question is, the Toology thing sounds perfectly fantastic theoretically, but what if the partner is just like,
One can make a difference. One can make a huge difference.
Can I ask a question? So am I wrong in saying this? So
you don't need two to tango. Wait. She's saying.
A loves B, but B loves C, and C loves D. And isn't that the way of the world?
A love triangle?
No, I'm not talking love triangle. I'm talking like, you really want that person. You want B. And B likes you, but she really likes C. But C really likes D, and D really likes E. So isn't that kind of the way it is?
Not really.
No, look.
Really?
When people make a commitment, they may have felt that the best one got away. But the one they're committing to is the one they adore, cherish, love,
theoretically.
Respect, and they make vows. I mean, when you think about it, till death do us part. I mean, we'd have a huge death population in the United States, but we don't. We provide, if you will, a happiness guarantee. It's possible. But what couples must do is they must practice their relationship or romantic ABCs. Always be curious. Always be courting. And in a way, if it was a single guy, always be closing.
And the woman really needs to initiate sex. So I could use other words with the C word, but I won't. When you say the A and B and C and D, what comes to mind is there's so much. Americans are the wealthiest, and we're also one of the most unhappiest. And it's because we're always seeking to fulfill a need. Mm-hmm. A need. We've got a sexual deficit disorder, actually, in our country. So you've got women saying, I shop a lot, I drink a lot, I
take care of my kids a lot.
I take care of my kids a lot. I do a lot of sports. What they're really craving is the need to be affirmed and desired and cherished, and to have more passion in their life. And men, their number one need is to have a woman who wants to play with them, be a playmate, as well as a sexual initiator.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's not happening.
Well, that's
just not women. Women just don't do that.
No, I tell women all the time, take it for the team. It's just like smiling. It will make you feel happier. Engage in sex. You may actually enjoy it. Take it for the team.
I think the women feel exploited. No, women are not men. Men are different. Men and women are not the same. So,
Look, if given a choice.
So you're telling women to initiate sex because women in general.
As one form of
don't
communication.
Initiate sex because it's not that they're opposed to sex. They're women. They're not as aggressive sexually. Except gay women who seem to be very aggressive sexually.
You're underestimating a lot of women. A woman likes to be romance. I liken, and this is a compliment, not an insult. I liken women to like being romantic camels. What do I mean by that? Not because of the humps. No. It's that you don't need women. All women need is one or two or very few genuinely sincere romantic gestures and actions by their husband or boyfriend, by their man, every several days or a week. That's all a guy has to do.
Actually, they need it every day.
Well, they do, but they tolerate so many. Guys, we're oblivious to that. Women
I don't think guys
like
are
to.
Oblivious
I don't
at
think
all.
they are either.
Well,
I don't agree really.
Women crave it.
Not
guys,
in our generation. We're not the same as our parents. The parents were different.
Yes.
And of course, the young ones are different from us. I'm not quite sure how, but I know we're very different from our parents. And so, like, we're not our mom and dad. We're just not them. You know what I mean?
Let me interrupt for a minute, because Jeff and I, as you know, we work together 24/7. We have a fabulous relationship, and what I think you were saying in a sense is, it's a different kind of affirmation. Men want to feel noticed, just like women. We both
Absolutely.
sexes
That's not a gender issue.
have a craving
Right. Not
to
a
be
gender issue.
noticed
Right.
and appreciated and
That's a
affirmed.
human being issue, right.
Men need to feel respected. That's
Right.
an
And women
important,
too, I
critical
think,
thing.
yeah.
So, all it is acts of kindness every day. You do something, I notice it. I focus on the positives and not the negatives. I have a choice. I have a choice to go down the road to negativity, a downward spiral in our relationship, and only think of him as a jerk. Or I can think of the positive things he does. Focus on that. The mind will believe whatever you put there. So if we replace those negatives with a positive, we're going to be looking for those great things he does versus the jerky things he does.
Okay, listen, I agree with you, and I'm not trying to be too difficult here.
Challenge us.
And
This is critical.
I'm happy to hear all this, all these ideas you have, and they're great. But sometimes in the real world, you have a marriage, and then it's not going good. Doesn't matter what you want,
That's
the
right.
partner doesn't want it, and it doesn't matter how kind you are or not kind or
You're
whatever.
speaking to that precisely. Now, we moved from Los Angeles, where we keep some residents, but to Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. And Colorado, I think for the 5th year in a row, has been voted by National Institute for Health and lots of private organizations as being the fittest, least obese, healthiest state in the union, number one. And yet it plummets to a heartbreaking number 23 in overall marital happiness. What's going on? And the problem is that it's caused by a number of factors. She has an activity that she's passionate about, indoors or outdoors. I have one. We don't really share it very much. We dote on our children. We've got to work. Maybe we've got aging parents. Maybe we're involved in charities or whatnot. But we're
Life
not
is happening.
connecting. Yes. For us, you know what date night would be? It would be take the kids out with us. Go for a romantic vacation?
us.
No, not us. What would be our annual vacation? Not us. Take the kids with us. No, you don't take the kids every place. Anyway, so Coloradoans are in many ways are very helicopter. So they have they have physical fitness. They do not have relationship fitness. So Colorado couples are considered unfit to stay happily married.
So you said something earlier about, she's unhappy, he's unhappy. It's sort of like, look at it this way. Your relationship is your greatest asset. You can look at it as an emotional bank account, and you look at it as the long term. There will be ebbs and flows. It's up to you to make a difference in your relationship. If you go on autopilot, if you're not intentional, and most couples go on autopilot and are not intentional, they will do that slippery slope, death of 1,000 cuts, micro inequities day after day, and that's the slippery slope. But they can resurrect their relationship. It's a wonder. The world loves gratitude and kindness. Loves it.
Yes, it does.
And you can turn things around even if there's only one of you.
But one of you has to consistently pursue it. Now, if there's abuse in the relationship, or whether it's, you're doing it to yourself or I'm doing it to the other partner, then that relationship can't be so easily fixed through playfulness or sex or taking one for the team or banters or whatnot. But most couples nowadays don't even have
taking one for the team that's abuse, isn't it?
No, it is
No.
not.
Okay, honey, I love you. First of all, I start my foreplay earlier in the day with, just saying something nice about her in the morning because I love her and I like her. Okay, yeah, I lust for her, but I'm not feeling a hard-on for her now at 8 in the morning or 10:30 or whatnot. So I'll get her lunch or we communicate in some way. So I say something nice. I let her know I appreciate her.
Right.
I make certain that if the TV's on, it's her program. If she's concerned about the kids, I make certain the kids are gone. So I think I'm planning sex. Most singles plan sex all the time, of course. I mean, you don't eat too late at night. You shave, you shower, you put on the right touchable clothes.
Right.
What's wrong with couples doing it? I mean, it totally makes sense, and it's amorous. I'm being romantic. I'm putting time and pleasure into it. Now, she may be on her period, or she may have vaginal dryness, or she may have any number of problems.
Right.
She may have still be upset at me for blowing her off on something else.
Right.
But if she knows that sex is important to me and touch, and if I give her enough foreplay, certainly emotional and physical, that's taking one for the team. It goes both ways.
That's engaging me. And what's interesting about that is that what happens in relationships and what causes the death of relationships is the lack of respect and affirmation. So he's affirming me. He's going out of his way to do nice things for me. And what happens is that anger and resentment will kill you if you're not transparent, if you're wearing a mask instead of being authentic. Taking it for the team is not about it being inauthentic. It's a kindness act. It's an act of kindness for your mate. And in turn, my husband does so many acts of kindness for me. He's an unbelievably romantic and wonderful man.
Is it possible, especially since you began your career so early with the Love Connection, which...
Well, before that, Great Expectations, I was 25.
Now, let me just say, frankly, those two successes affected a lot of people. I mean, I think most people listening to the show would think, oh my God, we know those. I mean, there's certain things you don't know, but that we know. So is it possible that you're simply just good at this?
Did show it.
Is it just possible that even when you were 10 years old, you had a sense of the power of emotion, and that's why you thought of these fantastic ideas?
No, I was a workaholic before I blew up. I mean, I had two bad marriages that just didn't work out. Two great kids, but they suffered from it because battling parents and parental alienation problems. Now, I had great role models, my mom and dad. She had her mom and dad. I grew up in Los Angeles. I didn't know a single divorced person. Not one. And really? I grew up in Los Angeles. What's going on? And Jewish in West Side.
We both had really excellent role models. The dads gave a lot to the relationship.
And my dad did not like to dance. My mother was a wild and crazy woman, a circus woman, it seemed in some ways. I mean, fantastic. My dad learned to dance because it made my mother feel good. Yeah, he stepped on her toes or couldn't move or groove or whatever, but he smiled and they laughed. They made fun of it. Even negative things are great if you're both in it together. Now, what really endeared it was, and what made their love, their whole, I mean, they were together till they died, literally, was that they both put effort into it. No, they didn't have, these AshleyMadison.coms, these where, you can sign up if you're a married person and cheat. That's a lazy way of getting sex. Lazy. It's much more passionate. If I can come from a losing game, if you will, if that's what it is, to a winning game and have her seek me out.
So let me tell you the 5 things Jeff does, and it'll work on any woman.
All right.
And what do I do? And it'll bring them closer together in general. It's not a manipulation. Okay. It's a way to release the oxytocin, the bonding chemicals, and everything else that goes good. It's engaging the 5 senses. And, we're sexual beings, and we're all human. So the sense of touch, he reaches out, he touches me, he hugs me. So I get the smell, the pheromones, the hug and the touch, and he's strong. Men are usually stronger than women.
Right.
I don't think that's too sexist to say.
Right.
So I'm getting that feeling of protection and strength. That's a huge thing for women. The sense of eye gazing. He looks into my eyes. He pays attentiveness to what I say.
Right.
And he doesn't roll his eyes, but he's making me feel counted. He's making me feel important, that I matter, and that I've been seen. Women want to be seen. So do men. And then there's kiss. That's the taste. Kissing's so important. And it's a non-sexual touch and a non-sexual kiss throughout the day.
Right.
It's a way just to connect, and men should not let it go on that slippery slope that every time they touch their women, it has to lead to sex. No. Let her want it. Build that desire. And if you engage all the 5 senses, she's going to do it in turn back as well, because she's turned on. She's excited. She's passionate.
I think I also.
That all sounds like good advice.
I compliment too. That's important.
Yes.
The proverbial, and we give gifts of service. Can I, bring her lunch? Can I make her bed? Can I do the laundry? Can I, let her sleep in so those are the 5 things I think you're talking about. A lot of couples draw a line, like they're almost like they're union shops. No, you take care of the kids, and I take care of the bringing the money in, or I'm the sexual aggressor, and you're the recipient. What?
So
relationships are a different kind of union.
So what's interesting about that is that same-sex couples actually have been statistically proven to have more egalitarian relationships, and they're much happier in their relationships. They negotiate everything. They bring it out on the table. They discuss it. We created relationship resolutions and goal setting and mission statements,
which are on our website. We give it all away for free.
Because all sorts of couples can engage in them to set, just like a business. It's the business of love too. And so you need to bring it out in the open and have discussions on a regular basis. What's working? What's not? We work together 24/7. We've been doing it for over 20 years.
Everything we do is really based on the science and the magic of relationship. What do I mean by science? Proven statistics, academics, scientists, linear scientific method, the whole thing. And magic is that inexplainable art that that exists, that chemistry between two people. Or somebody would say, well, it shifts. Well, it shifts because of science, maybe hormones, or because somebody, you hired a sexy secretary.
We're all evolving, so it has to shift.
But that's right. We always have to keep being curious. I've heard so many women say, gosh, when we were dating or engaged, he was so romantic. He pursued me, great eye attention, did all these wonderful things. Then we got married, and then you hear from the guy, got married. The last time she said I do was the last time she did.
So, Tuology
Bada
is...
bing.
Bada bing.
Yeah, okay. So now, let me ask you a question about children. So theoretically, I've read that children do not add to the happiness of a marriage.
You're right.
Is that an anti-American statement that I just said?
It's a matter of perspective.
It's true.
Okay, so women fawn all over their children. Men fawn all over their children and their dogs.
Right.
They stop fawning all over each other. It's a matter of perspective,
they're touching,
making choices.
Their hair, their shoulders, they're hugging.
So it's a matter of setting boundaries and setting your priorities, making that relationship your filling that emotional gas tank. Children can add a lot of friction to a relationship, especially in second and third marriages with their children involved. We have a blended family. We've gone through the gambit.
6 kids.
We've gone through a fire that destroyed everything that we ever owned and thought we needed in life.
Literally last year. Oh, yeah, in the middle of the night, we almost died.
We've gone through major disasters, and what we've learned and what we'd like to share with other people is it takes very little. You don't need material wealth or material possessions to be happy. It's a matter of getting your needs filled on these basic levels of affirmation, respect, feeling cherished, needed, desired.
This all sounds very good for sure. I think all my audience would think this all
sounds
sounds like intelligent
But you have to have
stuff.
a place, a source, like a coach, a mentor, a place. No one who's wagging his finger or her finger or their fingers at you. You want a source, a resource. That's why we created Tuology. We studied, we spent a fortune on this, and in time, I think 5 or 6 years, collecting information. And it's not our opinion. Not our opinion. These are science. These are scientists. And you can say, even a bad idea here will stimulate somebody else's good idea, like I never thought of that, or I forgot about it. It's all about action, putting good advice into good action.
And our actions, we have tools for actions.
For those of you just tuning in to Here's to Your Health, I'm speaking with Jeff and Cindy Ullman, Tuology, and Jeff started Love Connection and Great Expectations dating service. How long did Love Connection run on TV?
11 years. It was then they were off for a while.
11 years.
Well, then it was trying to be a 12th with a woman, but that didn't work out.
Excuse me. So 11 years. So you did better than Love Boat. You did better than Bonanza. No, am I right?
Better than I used to be on the dating game when I was in 1968. Joe Namath and myself. Of course, he was better looking, had a better arm, but he was from the South.
But he had bad knees.
Bad knees.
He had bad knees.
But
no, excuse me. So then theoretically, Love Connection was among the most successful television shows of all time.
Yes. Right. It was great.
And Tail Daters was
on
one of the
MTV.
successful shows for MTV.
What was that one?
Tail Daters. It was it was around the same time as a show called Blind Date, early 2000s, and a couple would go out, and then two people of each who knew that couple well would be in a really decked out Winnebago watching them and sending them text signals, and it was great fun. And then I ghost produced and wrote other stuff. But during this whole time, we observed that many of our friends who had long relationships, and we'd never seen them fight. They didn't dance very much. They didn't hold hands. Of course, we didn't say, how's your sex life? Or how's your medical life?
Right.
Or how often, are you getting fulfilled and excited? We didn't. But we did ask the ones who were most successful, who were most expressive, and who could even repair their relationships. In other words, when you say, I'm sorry, that's a repair. When you do something about it, meaningful, that's a real repair.
And they can be small things. We work together 24/7, as I've said.
Right.
And someone asked us yesterday, do you ever fight? Because we're both entrepreneurs. And I'm like, of course we fight.
She's wrong all the time.
And we know how to repair it.
Right.
And we do it quickly. And we don't hold grudges. So the thing about the do's are basically don't mind read. Don't think you know what the other person's thinking.
Right.
Okay? And do small acts, like I've said, of kindness. Repair. It's not a big deal to repair. It brings you closer and move on. Do not hold a grudge. We women, again, and I'm a woman, we are very good at being critical and very good at holding on.
Critical?
Women are better.
We women hold on to it.
Yeah, and they're better nags, and we don't do things because we think we don't do as much. No, the newer guy does.
Too. I'm not sure any of this is gender-based. This is more personality-based. That's what I think.
It's scientifically proven.
Really? Okay, I stand
Look,
corrected.
there's always exceptions. Broad, massive. It's not like 90-10.
Right.
But the vast majority of guys get nagged. And who's doing the nagging?
And the women are disappointed and frustrated, become angry and resentful, and bam, that's
and
the
withhold
number one. Yeah.
Commitment and sex and good times. And spend more time with the kids and what. So look what workaholics bury themselves because they're not getting something fulfilled in the rest of their life.
And
it's
addictive people as well find the addictions to fill their holes. Like I said, the women shop, they exercise, men too.
So people have to
fill
do
that hole.
Relationship fitness. It's everything you do and everything you don't do affects the two of you.
Well, Jeff and Cindy Ullman, this is fun. And how do we contact you?
Tuology.com.
Tuology.com.
Uh-huh.
You can like us on Facebook.
Okay.
And go to our website.
Or go to YouTube, Tuology for Couples.
That's very
modern. It's TWOOLOGY, the science and magic of the two of you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for being guest today on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie, inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah!
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band and New Birth.
And I'm Brahima Arsalan.
Inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby.
Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music.
So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on LATalkLive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio.
Or watch us and listen directly at LATalkLive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We're music.
Member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest is planning on running across the United States. Her name is Anna Judd. Mike will be filming this. Anna Judd, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Hi, thank you very much for having me today.
Now, running across the United States is really quite a lofty goal. That is not easy to do. I do remember that Dick Gregory, the activist who once ran for president, ran across the United States in the early 1970s, and Viktoras Kulvinskas, the most influential raw food teacher of the 1970s and 1980s, acted as his dietary mentor. Why are you running across the United States?
Well, originally I wanted to run across the United States because I love to run. And also because I love the idea of the challenge to push myself to my limitations in an extreme way. A project like this doesn't just involve pushing my physical limitations, but it also involves pushing my spiritual, my emotional, and even my mental limitations as well.
It does. It does. Have you run any LA Marathon, Boston Marathon, New York Marathon?
I've done the LA Marathon. I haven't had the chance to do the Boston or the New York yet.
What was your time in the LA Marathon?
I've done it 3 times. I think the first time I did it, it was around 5 hours, and the last time I did it, it was about 3:38.
All righty. 3:38 is very, very good.
I improved a lot over the course of a couple of years with a lot of practice.
And running across the United States, how many miles a day are you planning on doing?
About 40 miles a day, 6 days
40
a week.
miles a day?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a lot of mileage.
It is a lot of mileage.
Wow.
And I've been training pretty hard for it for quite a while. But I think the key is just moderation and taking it slow and realizing that I'm not racing against anybody.
And so 40 miles. So who's your team? Who's going to be there with you? You have a truck or something in it?
Yeah, I have an RV that's donated by one of my sponsors.
Who's your sponsor?
My major sponsor is called Freezor. It's a superfood drink from New Zealand.
Freezor. Okay, great. Happy to give them a little plug.
Mhm.
Freezor. Okay, is it available in natural food stores in the U.S.?
No, you have to go to the website and on freezor.com. That's FREZZOR.com, and it's really good. It's all natural. There's no GMOs. Everything's organic, and most of the ingredients are from New Zealand. So.
All right, that's good. That was Freezor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and who else is sponsoring you?
We have Steve Breitenbach from Hive Mind.
Oh, Steve
Bee
Breitenbach.
Pollen.
Oh, yes, I know Steve very well.
Yeah, he's providing me with bee pollen, and we have Mama Chia is sponsoring me. She makes like a really cool chia drink and food supplement. Struts is sponsoring me, and
Who's that?
Struts, it's basically these things that I'm wearing, these little compression socks for your feet.
Oh, those. Oh, yes, those.
Yeah, and they help
Have
you.
they taken off?
Huh?
Do they sell well, those little, they show your toes?
You know what? A lot of people love them. You know, everyone.
They have a market for those? Okay.
Yeah, there's a market for everything.
Right.
You know, everyone has a different preference, and
Right.
everybody's body is different, and everyone thinks that what they're doing is the right thing.
So because you are a very, very decent, strong athlete, do those socks and shoes that show your individual toes, is that better?
I think so.
You
I
get
think
more grip
so.
or something? More grip than you want?
Well, what it does, it's a more natural way to run. It's like a transition into barefoot running. And basically, like, you know, your feet are perfect just the way that they are. I mean, you've evolved for thousands of years, and there's like so many bones in your feet. They're like these perfect little machines.
Right.
And then you put them in an athletic shoe with like tons of arch support and a bunch of other things, and all of a sudden, like, your machine gets off kilter.
Right.
And so getting back to barefoot is a really natural way to improve your form and your physiology and your like how effective you are when you run.
And so you have these wellness sponsors who are sponsoring you, and you're planning on doing 40 miles, which is a lot of miles. And so what's the purpose of the run exactly? Is it just fun?
No, I saw right away that there was a huge potential to help other people with this run and to raise awareness for something. And it took me a while to figure out which cause I was going to do for. About a year ago, I decided that I was going to raise awareness and money for veterans and raise awareness for all the challenges that they're facing in the United States today.
And they are facing lots of challenges. So which veteran organizations are you partnering with?
I partnered with first Team Red, White, and Blue. Basically, they bring civilians and veterans together for athletic events, for group runs during the week, and they use strenuous activity and community building and support as a way to treat problems like PTSD and anxiety and depression and insomnia, because that really helps. Also, I'm raising money for the David Lynch Foundation. They have a new program called Operation Warrior Wellness.
David Lynch, the film producer, the film director, producer. Okay.
He has Operation Warrior Wellness. Basically, they train soldiers who have PTS and anxiety in transcendental meditation, as an alternative to taking like a psychotropic medication.
Good for them. That seems, certainly there's a place for meds too, but obviously teaching meditation seems like a good thing for most of the vets, a good thing for all of us, actually. That's very good. For those of you just tuning in to Here's to Your Health, we're speaking with Anna Judd, who is shortly going to start, I shouldn't say shortly, when are you running across this country?
March 22nd.
Okay, that's actually pretty shortly. Anna Judd will be running across country to help veterans organizations. Anna, how can we get in contact with you?
You can go to my website. It's AnnaRunsAmerica.com. And there's all different ways to get connected with me on social media. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast the entire time that I'm running across the United States.
Mike will be photographing all this. Are you going to make a movie out of this?
Yeah. Matt and Robot,
Oh, Matt.
and we have one other guy on my support team named Jake, and Robot's my main photographer, and we are documenting the whole thing, and we're also making it available live using a mobile broadcasting app
that's
as
very
well.
interesting. Oh my goodness.
So we'll be doing like live broadcasts about 10 times a day from wherever we are in the country.
Okay, let me give a shout out to Matt since I got his name wrong the first time. Hello there, Matt. Okay, so now with all this physical demands on your body, so you mentioned a green drink from New Zealand you're using.
Mm-hmm.
What are you eating? What is people want to know? Okay, what is this young woman going to eat so that she doesn't, waste away on 40 miles a day? What are you eating?
I eat a lot of green vegetables, like stuff that's really high in amino acids. My diet's pretty high in protein. I try to stay away from like red meat and stuff like that. Mostly I eat like eggs and avocados and nuts.
Okay, so you are eating eggs, so you're not vegan, you're eating eggs.
Mhm.
Are you doing any fish or anything or no?
Yeah, I do some fish. The problem with what I'm doing is that I have to eat a lot of fat. So I have to eat a lot of I add coconut oil to a lot of things,
Right.
and because I'm gonna have to be intaking about 8,000 calories a day when I'm running across the United States, and so it's that's a logistical nightmare in itself.
Okay, well, I think if you eat eggs and fish and you're motivated, I think you can make it and eating a lot of fat, 8,000 calories. I did not realize that was the number. Who worked out the 8,000 calories there? You have some scientist working for you?
No, you know what? I've just talked to a bunch of people who've done it before. It seems like a crazy thing to do to run across the U.S., but
Well, it's out of the ordinary.
yeah, but there's like this counterculture of people who do it, and they all know each other, and they all help each other out. And I would say about 10 to 15 people do it every year.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And in the history of the U.S., I think now about 300 people have done it, but it's becoming more of a popular thing to do. It's a little outrageous, though.
No, that's
Mhm.
actually very outrageous. And so are you planning on sleeping in a hotel room every night, or you're going to sleep in the truck? I mean, what exactly? And you have like 4 or 5 people going to be with you. Is that it?
Yeah, 3 people are coming with me. Some hotel rooms will be donated. We'll be staying in the RVs some nights when we're in the middle of nowhere. We have no other option. And the majority of the time, we're going to be couch surfing.
Couch surfing mean what?
Meaning, if you go onto couchsurfing.org, there's a huge network of people across the United States and across the world who open their homes up to travelers.
I see. I see.
So we're going to be couch surfing. So we have host people and host families who are going to be taking care of us, and we're securing those places right now.
Mostly you're going to be running and sleeping, right?
Running and sleeping.
That'll be it for you, I think. Running and sleeping. 40 miles a day, running and sleeping. It's, that's what I think.
And
you'll be doing
eating
with-
too, I
Maybe
guess.
a little eating, yeah, but mostly sleeping, I think, really. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I love to run, and I use it as my time to stay centered, and so I'm excited.
No, it sounds like fun. And what do your mom and dad say?
Oh, they hate it.
Really? They're
Yeah.
afraid you're going to get injured or something? Wasted away?
Yeah, mostly I think they just think I'm crazy. They don't get it.
No. They don't get the fitness thing. It's not really. what
They
do.
don't know. They're not healthy people. They don't.
Oh, well.
They don't really get it. I guess it's one of those things that I think they'll understand when I'm in maybe El Paso, Texas or something. Then they'll start to get it. But the more support I get from other people, the more they get on board with the project as well. So, they're just waiting to see what happens.
So your parents didn't do any fitness stuff at all when they were younger? They didn't do anything, really? Just
I mean, actually, my dad has never done anything really, and my mom, she rides bicycles, and so she's competed in a couple centuries. She likes doing long distance stuff
that's
as well.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess like when I say that they're not that healthy with my mom, it's more like she doesn't really watch what she eats. Like it's.
And by the way, you do watch what you eat.
I try really hard to have a very healthy diet.
So if you tell my listeners, give me 2 or 3 tips you think, this is important, you should really try to do this. This is great information. Tell me, what should I do? Tell me 2 or 3 things.
Okay, first, I stay away from like processed foods, like all.
But no sugar, no soda.
No sugar, and I try to stay away from like canola oil, corn oil, GMOs. Like I try to stay away from soy. All of those things I don't like.
That sounds like very prudent information.
Yeah, and I don't really like to eat too much bread. There tends to be like a lot of stuff that doesn't make me feel good in it. That makes me feel a little lethargic and sleepy. So if I need carbohydrates, I usually eat rice.
Brown rice.
I eat brown rice or white rice.
White rice too.
You know,
it's fun. And so if you eat 2 eggs for breakfast, do you feel that's good for you? That's enough? 2 eggs? You eat 2 eggs?
No. We eat a whole lot of eggs.
How many eggs?
Oh, sorry. We eat probably. Well, I'll have maybe like 6 or 7 eggs a day, maybe.
Okay. Now, how many have eggs? Are you breaking that up every couple hours? You're having 2 eggs?
Yeah, or more like after I work out, I'll have an egg here.
What kind of eggs? Soft-boiled?
Hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, I just hard-boil all of them and I put them in the fridge and I take them out when.
Hard-boiled eggs are on the boring side, aren't they?
Yeah, but at this point, it's like eating isn't really fun anymore. It's just like fueling my body.
And so now a lot of people listening to the show think, oh my God, that young woman's eating 6 to 8 eggs a day, and they think right away you're going to drop over dead tomorrow. Now, obviously, why are eggs good for me, and what is the problem with eggs if there is any? Is there any problem with eggs?
I don't see a problem with eggs.
I agree with you, actually.
I don't know. I like them. They're good, and they're simple, and they're easy. And
they are, and they're great. And they sustain your blood sugar. Every egg, I think, large egg is 6 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. So you're not getting tons of protein, but you're getting a very easy-to-absorb protein.
Mm-hmm.
You eating organic eggs?
Yeah. Like I try to eat organic, cage-free eggs.
Good for you. Yeah. 6 to 8. Okay, you heard it first on Here's to Your Health. This young woman, Ashley Judd. Ashley Judd. Me. Sorry, Anna Judd. 6 eggs a day. God bless you. I think that actually is workable. A lot of people think, oh my God, if they eat eggs, they're going to pass away from heart disease, which is completely untrue. It's sugar, coffee, alcohol, tobacco, which are bad for heart disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess like moderation is the key.
Right.
For me. I like to deprive myself of a lot of things, but I find that if I just have those things in really, really small amounts, then it just tides me over. So I have to play tricks on my mind,
And what kind of fish do you enjoy eating?
Man, I really, really love tuna. We eat a lot of tuna in our house. We kind of have like a collective house right now, where everybody in my project kind of stays at this hub, and we make really healthy food for everyone. And so we eat a lot of tuna, and then we also have some fish that my sponsor has given us from New Zealand too. So there's like orange roughy and sole and some calamari and stuff like that.
Well, let me just say this: you have great skin, so obviously what you're ever eating must be working because you look good. So, and this is an issue, right? I mean, how we look, that's how we feel, So that's very good. So when did you get involved with all this food business?
I don't know. It's just I'm trying to make my body happy.
Right.
And
well, can I ask for the how old are you? Can I ask?
I'm 29.
29. Okay. So you've been doing this since you're like 15, 16 or something?
No. I haven't always been healthy, and even when I started running long distances, I saw like exercising so much kind of as an excuse to eat whatever I wanted.
Gotcha.
And it's not. In fact, like if you want to perform better, like your diet is a huge part of how well you're going to do. And so it took me a while, because I'm very stubborn, to start looking at my diet and thinking, okay, like these are the things that my body wants, and start listening to my body and listening to the cravings and learning like the difference between a craving for something because I want to be bad, or a craving for something because my body's really asking for it.
And every once in a while you figure if you want something, you're just going to eat it and let it go because you're thinking, no, I wanted that, I'm going to eat that. Is that it? Or you're in training now for the event, so you figure, no, I'm just going to be very strict because I've got this important event going up and I'm not going to eat something trashy because I don't want to cost myself 2 or 3 or 4 days to feel kind of rotten.
Yeah, the way I see it, if I'm running across America, like I'm kind of, I'm done with cutting corners at this point. You know, there's no point.
Do me a favor. So give us your contact information once again. How can we contact you on the run and watch you on TV? How can we do that?
Okay, well, if you want to email me, you can directly email me at runannarun2014@gmail.com, and my website is AnnaRunsAmerica.com.
AnnaRunsAmerica.com. That's ANNA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good.
And you can always look on Facebook, on Twitter. Everything is titled Anna Runs America. So you can find me on those avenues as well.
Are you on YouTube? Do you have a lot of videos out already?
Yeah, I have a whole lot of videos out. That's a huge part of what we're doing with this project. We do a video blog that kind of documents the training process and the organization and the logistical process of putting this project together. We've been interviewing veterans for the last year about their experience in the military. And recently, it was actually Matt's idea, we started taking testimonials from veterans, anonymous testimonials, and giving them to artists, painters, and asking the painters to interpret the veterans' anonymous testimonial, and we videotape it, and then we speed it up, and we create these really cool collaborations between artists and veterans, and we've been making those for YouTube as well.
Sounds very good. So if you start running at the end of March and you do 40 miles a day, you tell me when. And wait, where's the final destination?
It's New York City.
New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's kind of the estimated, day or week when you're going to show up there? What is it?
It's going to be about June 22nd. It's going to take about 100 days, and I've given myself an extra week.
Oh, an extra week. I said that's good. Okay.
Yeah. Just in case.
Well, that's very helpful. That's right. Okay. In case maybe some days it rains, you can't run, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So June 22nd, you expect to be in New York City.
Yeah.
That's how many miles? Is it more than 3,000 miles?
It's 3,200 miles.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking a southern route, so we're going through California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York City.
Well, you know your geography. Now, may I ask you a question? Do you have to get permitting from the states? I mean, does the state of Virginia say, listen, you can run, but we need to have a permit so we know when you're going to be here because we have to assign police officers to you or something? I mean, do the states say, listen, we want a permit? Does anyone ask?
At this point, you're supposed to at least contact the police the day before you run through the town, because it can make the difference between them pulling you over on a highway and saying you can't run here, or them giving you an escort into the next town.
So do you have someone who does that? You do call in advance to, I guess it's polite, and also the police, they're involved with public safety, and they have to, they see some big RV going 5 miles an hour, they think, okay, what's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
Right away they think, oh, they're making crystal meth here, and they got this blonde in the front here to distract us.
Yeah, the decoy.
I mean, police, they're police guys, and they think like police guys, and we need them, and they, they're enforcement guys, so they're kind of tough-minded fellows. So do you have someone who will call them?
Yes.
I'm not putting down the police, by the way. I'm just making a little joke at their expense.
Yeah, okay, of course. Yeah, actually I do. And I actually experienced a run-in with the police because one of my friends...
This was a run-in with the police? Or a run?
It was a run-in on a run. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I had to try to run on the freeway one day because my friend said, you're going to have to actually run on the freeway. So if that's something you're scared of, you should probably do it now.
Well, that's a good reason to be scared. I think, you should be scared.
Yeah. So I went down to San Diego and I ran on the freeway for 8 miles.
The freeway?
On the shoulder of the freeway. So
these cars are going by at 70, 80 miles an hour and you're running on the freeway.
Yeah. And I had my photographer next to me on a bike. And I did this because I know there's one stretch in Arizona where I'm going to have to do this, and I wanted to kind of get the fear out of the way. And so...
Yeah, but actually, no joke. It must be a thing, oh, my God, if one guy veers off to the right a little bit, they take me out.
Yeah.
So it's not a joke. Not a joke, really.
It's not a joke. No, it's pretty scary, actually. And we got about 8.5, 9 miles before we got pulled over by CHP, and
so you ran 8.5 miles in about how much time?
It was maybe like an hour and.
So you were on the freeway for an hour before the cops finally decided, oh, we got a report of something.
Yeah, and they weren't happy at all. In fact, they said, we're taking your information down, and if you ever try to run on the freeway again, you're going to jail. Well, I would rather ask for forgiveness than permission in that circumstance.
Right. So theoretically, pedestrians are not allowed to be on the.
No.
Right. Makes sense that they wouldn't be allowed, right?
No, it's dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah. No, it's really dangerous. Not a joke, really. It could
Especially
be very bad.
with cell phones and people don't pay attention anymore.
People drunk. I have Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I'm a member. I've had them on my show 4 times. They're a great group. They reported on this show in California in 2011. 200,000 people were pulled over for drunk driving in California in 2011. That's a lot of drunks on the road.
That is a lot of drunks on the road.
Anna Judd, who's going to run across America starting in March. Give us your contact information once again.
Okay, you can contact me just by going to my website. It's AnnaRunsAmerica.com.
Anna, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
What's up? It's your girls, Forbidden Gems, inviting you to join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. sharp for the hottest, livest talk show, Forbidden Tuesdays.
Join us as we expose a new generation of love and dating, all the craziest entertainment news, and the wildest on-air interviews with the hottest artists.
So don't forget to tune in to Forbidden Tuesdays every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality radio for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is
LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
You ready?
We did it!
Finally.
This is Brett Chapin.
And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue, inviting you to join us every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our show, La La Land Talk.
Join us as we talk with some of the top talent in LA. Artists' untold stories, your phone calls, and live on-location broadcasts have made La La Land one of the best sources in LA for everything entertainment.
So don't forget to tune in to La La Land Talk.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at LATalkLive.com.
Saturdays at noon Pacific Time. Find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk. Twitter, Twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. I'm here with the other co-host of Here's to Your Health, Dr. Hans Kugler, PhD, out of Stony Brook. Dr. Kugler, welcome to Here's Your Health.
Well, it certainly is nice to be back again.
It's nice to have you here again as well.
It always is a pleasure.
And when we chatted on the phone yesterday, you were mentioning some very strong information about telomeres and longevity and exercise.
Yes. As a matter of fact, many research findings that we promoted, and you especially, in respect to nutrients playing a key role in health, are now being confirmed. As a matter of fact, we could make a big headline, "We told you so," right? And you wanted to know a little bit
Seems
more?
fair.
Go to any one of the ebook websites, Barnes & Noble or whatever. There's my book, Lifelong Health, Learn How to Control Your Genes to Stay Young with Age.
What's the name of that book again?
Lifelong Health, Learn How to Control Your Genes to Stay Young with Age.
Okay. And when did you write that book?
It came out about a year ago.
Because if I can mention this, I believe that you have gotten credit for writing the first book specifically on anti-aging. Was that in 1971?
74.
74.
Yeah.
So
slowing down the aging process.
Right. I mentioned that so that people don't think that you're just a Johnny-come-lately who's hopped on this bandwagon 3 years ago. You are one of the original scientists working in this field. Is that not correct?
Well, exactly. And I was on another meeting outside the U.S., and we looked at the many different research findings that we published based on my work at Roosevelt University in Chicago. And there were 21 areas where we went out on a limb a little bit and made statements and published, and they're all being confirmed. And we have a whole list here today what we do, right?
Very nice.
I mean, telomeres is the very first one. And guess what? There's a laboratory now basically doing research and analysis work for doctors. It's called Spectra Cell Laboratories. And they are just amazing. They do a blood analysis. They can measure your telomeres. They look at what your specific problem is if you have a medical disorder. Define it and analyze it in terms of nutrients that are either missing or supplied in imbalances. Do the corrections, and if you follow it through, doing the blood analysis again after some time, you will see that your telomeres are longer.
Wow.
Fully established.
All right.
And this is really what it is.
What's the name of that group again?
It's called Spectra Cell Laboratories.
Okay.
And
they here are they in Los Angeles?
Yeah, they're in our area here, and I've been talking to them. Probably will maybe have somebody over here because they're publishing unbelievable, magnificent research. It's mostly for doctors, right? For example, when it comes to micronutrients, this is one area that they analyze.
Micronutrients?
Yeah.
Such as selenium or something? Or zinc?
Right. Selenium, absolutely correct. Selenium, copper, zinc, and so on and so on. Like, for example, there's an enzyme. It's a very important enzyme. It's called SOD, superoxide dismutase. It's like a football-shaped enzyme. It has in one focal point copper and in the other one zinc. Now, if you're supplying incorrect amounts of any one of those trace minerals, your body can't make that enzyme, right? And that's an important analysis. Right. Selenium, what you mentioned, very important as an antioxidant, immune enhancement, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, this is absolutely magnificent. And actually, if you use this whole publication here, you could tell your doctors out there, that's really important. Talk to your doctors and tell them, call Spectra Cell Laboratories or look them up on the internet, spectracell.com. For every major disorder that you have, they have what they call a nutrient wheel. In this case, for example, simple headaches,
yes.
Right? Okay. Or depression or attention deficit or whatever it is. And around that, they have the specific nutrients that play roles with that. How those either imbalance of nutrients and or lack of specific nutrients affect that. The second page down in this publication here is all the references So nobody in orthodox medicine that are trying to keep you sick and coming and paying for the drugs can argue with that, right? And I have talked to a number of doctors that are using that, and I mean, it is amazing. It is absolutely fantastic stuff.
Now, Hans, at this juncture, we're chatting with Hans Kugler, PhD. What is a telomere? Tell my viewers what a telomere is.
Okay. At the end of your DNA molecules, you have extensions.
These are in the cells of my body.
Right. Yeah, in every cell in your body. They're called telomeres. Telomeres are actually, as I see it, proof of the intelligent design, right?
Okay.
I mean, there are people out there that argue over God or not or whatever. And the basic idea is it all by accident or is it an intelligent design? And when you look at telomeres, you come to the conclusion there is no way that this can be by accident. Like, at the end of your DNA...
Well, you're a PhD, so your opinion has weight, okay?
More scientists are coming around to seeing it this way, right? But at the end of your DNA molecules, you have extensions. They're called telomeres. They have a different number of subdivisions for every species. That alone is very interesting. Like dogs have 15 subdivisions, and every time when a cell divides, it chops off one of those subdivisions, and by the time they're all used up, that's the maximum lifespan, around 25 years, right?
Alrighty.
For humans, we have 54. When we're all one after another, when they use them up, that would be a maximum lifespan of about 110 to 120, right? Now, when man and woman get together and they make Schnooky Wookie or whatever you want to define it, that's a German expression, not to offend anybody. That's very nice. Anyway, there's an enzyme that sets the telomeres back to full potential in the developing embryo. So when that child is born, it has the maximum length of telomeres, right? Length. Okay, what we find here too, and that is again one of the areas where I earlier suggested that research findings have been confirmed. We found that stress is the strongest telomere shortening factor.
No kidding.
Good nutrition, guess what? What have the health food stores and everybody telling you? Take your supplements, take your vitamins. Guess what? Vitamin D, vitamin E, and all these things, fish oils and so on, they are telomere lengthening factors. And especially my field, exercise, very important. Guess what is the strongest telomere lengthening factor anywhere? Weightlifting.
Okay.
Not really weightlifting. I mean resistance exercise, right? I mean we do exercise in two different areas: cardiovascular for your heart, and then we do muscle exercise. That's called resistance exercise. I mean, we don't want the women out there to go heavy weightlifting and so on. That's not necessary. As a matter of fact, if you pick up my book and we read the section on exercise, we will tell you. We just use one little variable. It's called the 1RM. For every resistance exercise station that you use, you have the one repetition max, it's called. You try to determine what is the maximum that you can do with one repetition. You actually don't go all the way up there. You just do a little bit more. And when you get to a point where it gets a little more difficult, then you estimate, right? Now, you have that 1RM. And here's the key point. If you want to build muscle, you do the exercises with more than 50% of that 1RM. You do fewer repetitions and slow. For example, a butterfly, you put your whole body in a
butterfly with how much weight for a man?
That's really depending on different person. I do it for about with 140 pounds,
Actually, is a butterfly use it on a machine? Or what's the name of the machine?
Right. There's a machine that has two arm rests here, and you push them together, right? It's connected to a weight.
Excuse me, so it's 70 pounds for each arm, is that it? 140 pounds total.
Yeah,
but it's different from one person to another. Is that kind of a lot of weight?
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm German. What do you want?
Well, okay, so what kind of benefit? Can I get the same benefit? I'm doing 25 pounds on each thing? Do I get the same benefit?
But see, that's where it comes in. At first, you determine what the maximum is that you could do with one repetition, right?
Oh, I see.
Okay, now let's say you have 100, if that's the maximum that you estimate, right? Don't go all the way up there. Okay, now if you wanted to build muscle, you do it with more than 50%. More than 50% of 100 is you were maybe 60 or 70 pounds, right? And you do fewer repetitions, like only about 6, and you do them slow, and you exhale when you apply force, right?
I see.
And then you build muscle.
When I'm flexing, I exhale.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Women, anybody who has enough muscle or just wants to lean it, right? I always compare people to automobiles, right? I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger or myself or whatever, we are Hummers, right? Or trucks, Chevy trucks, right? And women are Jaguars and, fancy sports cars.
Okay.
Still muscle cars.
Yes.
But in a different way.
Okay,
right?
yes.
So if you don't want to build muscle, you do it with less than 50%, more repetitions, like 8 to 12, and you do them relatively fast. And you will never gain muscle, and you will never look like a man. That's a major complaint that I get from women, right?
Yeah.
I do health practice counseling with people and at our health center in Torrance, right? Health Integration Center.
What's the name of it again?
Health Integration Center, right?
In
with
Torrance.
Dr. David Wong. He is one of our geniuses, our MDs. He is in charge of the whole health center.
Excuse me, is that at the Torrance Airport?
It's close to Torrance Airport. It's in the corner of Hawthorne and PCH.
And by the way, you have a laboratory at Torrance Airport, do you not?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. We have a stem cell laboratory, and that was another area where research confirmed what we were saying. There's another area we can touch on, right? But since we are talking about overall health, anti-aging, fitness, gaining muscle, or just maintaining, one of the key substances along those lines was growth hormone, right? That everybody was taking.
So what exactly is growth hormone?
Right. Growth hormone is a natural hormone that slowly decreases as we get older in our body. Now, because it decreases, they synthesize it in a laboratory. They have very simple applicators. It looks like a pen. You dial in the amount that you want, stick it on your belly, very fine little needle, bzz, very done. But because this is so successful and so magnificent in making you feel better, some of the manufacturers of the growth hormone, and I think somebody should really look into that, they raised the prices like you wouldn't believe it. Like what normally used to cost, still expensive, about maybe $480 a month, the smallest amount, they raised it by $180 to $200 a month. I mean, it's just disgusting. I mean, a lot of people just can't afford that.
Next should be Dr. Kugler. This human growth hormone, this is manufactured in the United States?
Oh, yeah, but all over the world. I mean, it's relatively simple. They make it recombinant RNA, right? They code it, and it's very simple. And it's just disgusting that the manufacturers are getting fat on draining us with that. However, nature, thank you up there, whatever, occasionally comes in with something else. And that is guess what? Velvet deer antler.
Velvet deer antler.
We've known that for a long time.
Yes,
I mean, through history, velvet deer antler has been used as a medication. When the deer antlers fall off with deer, the people collect them. They used to grind them up. They boil them. They concentrate them, and they use this as a medication. Well, nowadays, there's a company, Bioprotein Tech. They use a newer method of grinding those deer antlers with very strong round steel balls, and then they extract them, cold extract, with something almost equivalent to red wine. And then they concentrate it. And more than 2 years ago at the American Academy Anti-Aging Medicine meeting in Las Vegas, I saw them and I said, "Oh, Dr. Kugler, we have a new velvet deer." And then I said, "I know this." I said, No, let me show you. And in those new extracts, you have IGF-1 as an insulin-like glucose factor, right? And that is an important part in respect to growth hormone activity, right? Like when a person comes in, an older person, for the doctor to justify prescribing growth hormone to that person, he does a blood analysis and he measures the IGF-1.
Right.
Well, that IGF-1 is in that extract. And they gave me some samples. And when I came back from the meeting, I was supposed to start my growth hormone again. I go in cycles, 4 days on and off.
How many days on and off?
But with growth hormone, it doesn't really matter. I do about 3 or 4 days. Right?
3 or 4 days on and 3 or 4 days off.
Right, right. And
and you feel that's the best protocol?
Yeah. I mean, we actually, with an Olympic trainer, we've shown that the athletes get better results when they do that.
When they cycle on, cycle off.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also, when I go on a business trip for 4 days, I want to take all my supplements along. I just take the minimum, right, when I come back. So I was supposed to take the growth hormone again when I came back, and I didn't. I just continued the velvet deer antler.
Right.
It's a bottle, a little squirt under your tongue, a dropper full. You slush it around there for about a minute, absorption through the mouth, and so on. And I continued that for 4 weeks. And I was sure that I would lose some muscle mass.
Right.
But I didn't.
Right.
So I called the company back, hey, listen, something is going on here. And they said, yeah, we told you so, right? And so they sent me some more samples. I continued for 3 months. Now, maybe I was a little bit too concerned that I lose muscle. That means I always completed my exercise cycles and I did enough exercise. But it was after the 3 months, instead of losing muscle, I had actually gained 2 pounds of muscle mass, right? And there's now a lot of people are changing from growth hormone to velvet deer antler. It's far less expensive.
And what's the name of that company again?
Bioprotein Tech.
So that's the one that you, at this point, like best. Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably other companies out there.
But they're not using the same
I have no
method.
association with this company, right? And I mean, I'm not here to advertise their products.
I'm happy to give them a plug. So that's Bioprotein
Tech.
Bioprotein Tech. Okay.
Tech, yeah, TECH,
And
.com.
And how much is that?
I think they have 3 concentrations, 500, 800, and 1500. I've used the larger concentration, 1500, which is something like about $160. I'm not really quite sure.
And that's a liquid, and you just simply let it dissolve in the mouth cavity.
It's a month supply, right? I mean, you take a dropper full, put it under your tongue, slurp it around for a minute, and it works. And I also do that cycling. That means a few days on and a few days off. Right. And it works. Absolutely magnificent. As a matter of fact, I have a new book coming up, that I'm working on, and we wrote it up in all scientific details, and other people have confirmed that in the meantime, so that's a very good factor, right?
Well, that's great.
So you can save some money.
Yeah,
right?
that sounds very good. Another good option for the listeners of Here's to Your Health.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to telomeres. So we know that we can live 110 years theoretically. That's based on the scientific thinking.
Maximum human lifespan is around 110 to 120.
Right.
If we would use up all the extensions down to 0, right, that would be about 110 to 120. Now, with wrong health practices, we will obviously accelerate that process,
right.
So that the average lifespan gets shorter.
Right.
Okay? Now, we can measure the telomeres now with a laboratory. And again, SpectraCell.com, the laboratory, that's mostly for doctors, right? But if you're out there listening in, tell your doctor to inquire with them, right? I mean, they will be happy to send you all the information. Like this catalog that I have here is literally every major disorder.
Right.
Showing the nutrients that contribute, that are important, how it affects it, the scientific literature, no question of a doubt, right? And that goes from cancer to heart disease to diabetes to hypertension to attention deficit to depression and so on, right? Some time ago when we were talking about depression, you see advertising on television like typical drug company BS.
Yes, you do. You see
as I see it, parenthesis, haha.
Oh, yes.
Whatever. Oh, if you are taking an antidepressant and it doesn't really work very well, maybe you should add another antidepressant to it. Well, look at the reality. The first one costs about $150 a month. after your insurance. The second one is $500. So you're going to have $650 to treat your depression, mild depression.
Right.
Well, guess what? The American College of Sports Medicine published data and had many people present data to show that the simplest exercise program, as recommended by the American College of Sports Medicine, very conservative, 3 times a week, half an hour, anything. Jogging, fast walking, swimming, you name it, what it is, and depression measured by the SCL-90 score drops down into normal range.
Measured by what score again?
SCL-90 depression score, right?
That's a university study.
That's a regular score. You can't tell with the hundreds of questions which was aimed at that. So it's a very well designed, test. Now, how about the money involved here? In the U.S. alone, we spend about $18 billion on antidepressants alone.
Wow.
Then we have $4 to $6 billion for doctor visits, laboratory tests. And then there's an area which most people don't even consider. I mean, that's a psychological effect. If you have a patient who suffers from depression, he's not going to be performing well, right, at your work.
Right.
You don't want to have him fly an airplane or drive a bus, right?
Right.
So the total costs associated with that is another $20 billion. So you have, bottom line, $45 billion that you could save if you simply teach the people how to do a simple exercise program. 3 times a week, heart rate elevated, that's it, half an hour.
Right.
Right?
Well, that all seems very prudent. When you talk about it, it just seems very prudent and very doable for large numbers of people, cost effective, but mostly effective as a physical therapy. So you've been on the show many times, and you've mentioned as a young man you work with Emmanuel Sharaskin, the MD and dentist,
yes,
University of Alabama School of Medicine, and he was saying in those days, and you of course were a colleague, that eating carefully and exercise are not just perks, but they're the foundation, they're the cornerstones of good health.
Yes.
Right.
He actually, coming back to one of the longevity studies that we did, the major longevity study.
That you were a part of.
Right. At Roosevelt University in Chicago.
Can I ask what years this was? What years?
No, it's 74.
Okay.
Right.
So a long time ago. Okay. Wow.
Yes. And interesting enough, a gentleman by the name of Rollo and Associates very recently published data that confirmed that literally to the percent of the results that we get. So what we did was we took cancer-prone animals, and the human is a cancer-prone animal, right? We subjected them to all the wrong stuff. That means including cigarette smoke blown through the cages, high-fat, high-sugar diet, no supplements, tap water, drinking water, no exercise, and so on.
Right.
And then we had the other animal, a group of animals, was made to do exercise 3 times a week in a rotating drum. We let them do their own speed and so on. Quality diet, Purina, rat chow. I told them what to put in there, antioxidants in there, vitamins, minerals, carbon-filtered drinking water, naturally no cigarette smoke. And guess what? Sharaskin predicted that we would get 100% difference in that. And at first I thought, God, this is impossible. Because normally, when you do longevity studies, you have just controls and treated animals. But we went a step further. We didn't only control and treat it, we get to control an animal subjected to all the wrong mistakes.
Right.
And therefore, we got about 96%. Right?
Wow.
And interestingly enough, if you repeat the same experiment without the exercise in the positive group, everything drops by 50%.
No kidding.
50%?
Wow.
50% of anti-aging is due to exercise?
Right.
It's amazing. That's being confirmed. Another one here. What is the strongest telomere lengthening factor as we get older that actually prevents cognitive losses?
Exercise?
Exercise.
Right.
Weight exercise, resistance exercise again, right?
Wow.
I mean, it's one thing is being confirmed by another. Right?
Now, where does walking fit in as an exercise? Is walking valuable?
Yes. And see, when we have people coming into our health center and we try to get them to do some exercise, we meet real resistance, right? because they're so used to sit down and not do anything.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's frustrating,
Right.
right? So we start out, okay, take anybody, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your cat, your dog, whatever, monkey, take him for a walk,
Right.
half an hour in the evening before you go to sleep, right? I mean, for me, it's I get off my computer around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I take my dogs, I go on the Esplanade in Redondo Beach, I go for a half an hour walk, fast walk, right? And if you do that and follow the exercise as outlined in my book by Dr. Paul Ward, Olympic trainer, you can get away with only 2 exercise sessions in the gym, muscle exercises, as long as a third session involves any kind of aerobic activity, a long walk, jogging, swimming, whatever, and it all works.
And it's easy to implement, and it's inexpensive, and it's also fun. So when you work with clients who think, oh, we don't want to exercise, Dr. Kugler, and then they start doing it for a while, and then they say to you, Hans, we feel better. Did they tell you?
Oh, totally. Oh, totally.
They're surprised.
I had a gentleman at the airport. I mean, I fly out of Torrance Airport. I mean, this is my connection up there, right? When I used to be totally under stress or anything bad happened, I get in my airplane and they say, why would you go flying there? No, because I have to focus on what I'm doing in flying, right? And I can't think about all this junk down there.
Right.
And I'm up there. Oh, heck, man, I'm closer to my maker and all this junk is down on there. Makes me feel better. And one of the gentlemen, very wealthy gentleman, nice big airplane. I mean, a turboprop and so on. And I finally got through to him in one way or another. And he tells me, he says, man, I lost 15 pounds within the first 2 or 3 weeks. I'm feeling so much better, right?
That's good.